It's me, Shay, from WNBA with Shay, and I'm here to talk about the Dallas Wings and maybe a little bit of stats at the end. And I'm here with Snap Wilson.
Hey, everybody.
Yay! So exciting. This is what we're all here for.
Yes.
And yeah, so how are you, Snap? Let's start there.
I'm doing fine. I'm extremely hot right now because it is very, very hot, and the AC is just kicking in. So I've my juices are boiling. My everything is boiling. I'm sweating. I'm excited. Everything is primed for me being very excited right now, and potentially very, very sweaty. So that's how I'm doing. I'm excited and I'm sweaty.
Very good. No, I actually have to turn off my AC during these because like this vent you can see back here probably very so it picks up, so my mic picks that up pretty good. So it's just I start boiling. Like when I was on here with Steven, I was like, oh my gosh, dude, I'm dying. So
I got like 3 bottles of water lined up, so
oh, see, I can't do that because I will literally have to pee 5 times if I ever.
I think that will just make me more excited. It'll just be like, yes, all right.
There you go.
Power through this.
Yeah. Dang, we could shoot the shit all day. Oh man, we're off to a great start.
We are. This is how it works.
Yes, it is. I'm so excited. I'm in such a good mood. I think like the thought of talking to another human being got me very, very excited. I've just been like alone most of the day, and I saw my parents, but like saw my brother doing things. So I'm just like so happy. Like before this, I was like, oh my god, like give me a lot.
Human interaction.
I know. Right? We miss it. Man, okay. Well, before we start talking too much like to people who aren't talking about WNBA, we should start talking about the WNBA. So we kind of wanted to go through talking about the Wings starting in 2018, and then going on to talk about 2019 and 2020. Kind of gives us some context. Do you want to talk about like what happened in 2018? I can give some basics. They went 15 and 19. They placed 8th, 5th in offensive rating, 9th in defensive rating, and they basically just lost to the first round in the postseason to Phoenix. So that's a short little overview.
Yeah, right. And so you kind of have to take a step back a little bit. You got to think about how this team looked coming into the season, and what their expectations were and everything. And of course, everything in 2018, what was it? In 2017, they were 14 and 20 out of the playoffs. Is that right? No, that was their expected win loss. They were 16 and 18. So they actually overshot their projection, their expected win loss by a little bit. Skylar, that team, I won't talk about it too much. Skylar Diggins-Smith led team, pretty much the same roster as they had in 2018, except no Liz at that particular time. So Liz's history in the league was kind of a tumultuous one. She was drafted by the Wings when they were in Tulsa, and then she played there. She found it miserable. She hated it. She didn't want to come back and play in the WNBA. And then it was their coach at the time, Fred Williams, who convinced her to come back and play in 2018. And that completely changed the outlook for the team, because they had a center, and you can kind of imagine this team was not very good. Same result, actually. They lost in the first round of the playoffs at that point to the Mystics
in 2017.
In 2017. So things look a lot better for them. And when you kind of take a look at that team, it looks like the beginning of potentially a new contender in the league. So you have Liz, you have Skylar Diggins-Smith, you had Kara McChristmas-Kelly, who at the time was athletic, combo forward, could either play small or power forward, was considered a pretty good player. You had promising young players in Kayla Thornton and Alicia Gray. Alicia Gray won the Rookie of the Year in 2017, mostly by default. It was not a really, really great draft class, and the number 1 pick, Kelsey Plum, suffered through a very poor and injury-laden season. But Alicia Gray looked like a good young player. Kayla Thornton looked like a good young player. They drafted Azure Stevens that year. They had Bets and Glory Johnson. They had Aerial Powers, which people may not remember at this point, but they had Aerial Powers to start that year.
This is 2018.
This was the beginning of 2018. They had Kayla Davis, who was really also a contender for Rookie of the Year, playing on the same team. She shot 42%, or 43% basically, from three-point range in 2017. She looked like a really good young player. So, I mean, this looks like, down the line, a potential contender. And then you kind of have to figure out, like, what happened. So the team started off pretty well. And I wish I had my game logs open. I had that tab open, now I don't. But I know, right? Where's the preparation here? I was trying to figure out how to change my profile in Zoom.
Oh, well, it looked great. So.
Oh, thank you so much. I had to find another picture of my little avatar there.
Wait, whatever. We'll talk.
Oh, no. We gotta because I'm sure people are like, what the hell is that? So there's this anime called My Hero Academia, and she's this My Hero Academia, which is about like a high school for superheroes, essentially. Is what it's about. I'm not going to get deep into the plot, I promise you. But there is this one character who's a minor character. She shows up just once or twice over the series as a whole up to this point, and she is kind of a super mechanic, and she likes to work on gadgets and do things, and she's also like. She touches my heart because she is not interested in being a superhero in the slightest, but she's interested in making money.
Nice.
So yeah, I relate to her absolutely entirely. She's just a capitalist at heart, and she likes to work on gadgets, and she messes up a whole lot, but she just keeps going at it and until she succeeds. So I love her. That's the character. Her name is Mei Hatsume. She's awesome. Anyway, that's it. I just wanted to throw that out there as why she was my avatar. I probably should get something more WNBA related.
No. This is great.
I can't get rid of that face. She's just adorable. Anyway, so Dallas Wings, they're looking really great. And
back to 2018.
Back to 2018. They started off over 500, actually. And they were rolling. They looked pretty great. Liz was on an MVP campaign. She had the 50 some odd point game, 56 point game, I think is what it was, against the Liberty. They had a few injuries as the season went on. They lost Kara McChristmas Kelly after 6 games. She looked like she was headed for a career year. They lost, I think Kayla George went down with an injury. They didn't have a backup point guard, and this is kind of going to lead us into the first transaction that they made during that year that has not really turned out very well for them. In that they traded away Aerial Powers, who was playing 15 minutes a game for them, for Taylor Hill. To the Washington Mystics for Taylor Hill. If you're a Washington Mystics fan, and even if you're not, and you just kind of watched the finals last year, you kind of have an idea that who Aerial Powers is, a very promising young wing, scores a lot, will probably be a starter in the league at some point. Yeah, good player. Not a player that you would really want to trade away. Right. So you're kind of like, they traded her for Taylor Hill. What was up with that? Taylor Hill, it's not as ridiculous a trade as it looks, but even kind of looking back at the time, it was probably a little dodgy. And the reason that I say that, so Taylor Hill was very skilled player. She had her time in the league. She had shown that she was a very, very skilled player, enough to get a max contract at the time from the Washington Mystics. They thought she was that good. 2017, she went down with an injury. She was playing really, really well, 13 points a game in like 25 minutes, something like that. She great scorer, good playmaker, went down with an injury, came back in 2018, was really not the same, was not happy on the team, which we kind of found out a little bit later. But she was one of those players that looked like if she could recover her health, she would may get back to the point where she was, and that would be a really great point guard. Now, Dallas was absolutely in need of somebody to back up Skylar Diggins-Smith. There was really nobody on the roster who was a natural point guard at that time. They were like using players like Leticia Romero and Maggie Lucas, who names you might not even know at this point, depending on when you became a fan. It just they didn't really have a WNBA quality backup even at that point. So in that respect, trading for an established point guard, one who may be available for less than she's worth, kind of makes sense. On the other hand, she came off a very serious injury. She was making a max salary. That's a really big swing to take for giving up a young player for that. The thing I didn't know, and when I was kind of researching this today in preparation for the podcast, looking at our good friend from Curtis Zimmerman's site, I suppose I should get his name right if I'm going to say it, is that trade, according to the transaction wire, it was Washington Mystics traded Taylor Hill, the 2019 number 22 pick, and the right to swap 2019 first round picks to the Wings. Oh, I guess Washington was giving Dallas the right to swap. I thought it may have been the other way around. So that makes more sense.
Explain this again. Lost.
Yeah. So Washington
draft too. Every time you say draft, like draft the 2020 or.
Yeah, this was the 2019 draft. So they traded Taylor Hill for Aerial Powers, and the presence at the time was that there was a difference enough in their salaries that Powers was probably worth more than Hill because Washington threw in the number 22 pick in 2019, and they threw in the right to swap 2019 first round picks to the Dallas Wings. So already we can kind of see that this is not a balanced player for player trade, right? Even if you're assuming that Taylor Hill had shown more in the league than Aerial Powers up to that point, it came with a lot of risk. So we can just assume that from the nature of the draft picks that were being sent. Mm-hmm. It did not work out, as we all know. Taylor Hill was not able to do anything. There was some hope that she would kind of get back to her previous position. I know Ben Dull kind of liked her as a potentially good player, good roster player for Dallas in 2019. So it wasn't, there were some smart people out there who were kind of hopeful for her and knew how good she could be. Obviously, it hasn't worked out since she had a guaranteed salary up until this year, and New York could say, you know what, we'd rather pay you and not have you play. We'd rather have 6 rookies on the team. So you can kind of tell at this point, things are not going well for you. I know that, and I know that she wasn't really happy with the Washington Mystics. It kind of came out later. There were some comments by her. I don't know exactly what the wording was, but the indication was pretty clear is that she was dissatisfied in her time there for reasons that were related to the coaching. Not happy. And what can you do if you're unhappy with the team and then that team goes on to win the championship and you go on to be out of the league with a guaranteed salary? Things did not work out well. Injuries suck. What can you do? She was a really good player at one point. She was a very, very promising young player, and it just didn't work out for her. But that trade came with a lot of risk. It didn't help. They did basically try out just about every what you would call replacement level point guard that they could get their hands on that season. Mm-hmm. It wound up probably being a little, I don't know if you could say that it was a serious weakness for the team, because Skylar Diggins-Smith is one of those players who just eats up minutes. That season she played, 34.1 minutes per game. So she's leaving like 6 minutes for a backup point guard to be out there. So it's not a huge thing, but she did miss a couple of games that season.
Mm-hmm.
Probably would have helped. And those were games during the losing streak. So that undoubtedly contributed to it. The losing streak, I bring it up, but I don't talk about what actually happened. And the thing is, towards the end of that season, the Dallas Wings lost, I believe it was 9 out of 10 straight games.
Yike.
So when you consider that, their record was 15-19, and they lost by not many points. The main culprit for that was their defense was absolutely terrible over that stretch. And I wish I had some advanced metrics to give you. It was bad. It was bad, and not only that, they lost close games. They lost close games in bewildering ways. There was one Chicago Sky game. It's one of the highest scoring games of the year, as a matter of fact. That just bad calls, bad luck, everything that could have gone wrong. That basically went wrong in that game, and they were up at some point by double figures easily, maybe as close to 20 points. Chicago came roaring back, and they beat them basically at the buzzer. Everything that could go wrong went wrong. Mm-hmm. The defense was terrible. It was terrible in ways that you look at this roster and you can't figure out. The talent is absolutely there. We know Liz is a tremendous defensive center. I've gone back in preparation when she was joining the Las Vegas Aces. I was very curious about it because I really could not tell whether she was a good center or not based on her play in 2018. Mm-hmm. It was really, really difficult to tell. And the reason that it was really difficult to tell was they didn't have a defensive system that you could point out and say, this is our goal. This is what our goal is on defense. We're going to shunt everything to Liz, or we're going to pressure the ball, or we're going to do whatever. I don't know what they were doing. It was really just chaotic. There were no rotations. They didn't seem to be trying any strategies. It was just kind of go out there and play defense. Everybody pick a man, try to guard them, kind of thing. And so that was definitely part of it. If you were looking at like the reasons why they finished 15-19, definitely some of that was bad luck. Their expected win-loss based on points scored and allowed was 18-16. So right off the bat, the results are not matching what your actual production is. And in a 34 game season, you're going to say, okay, well, they had a lot of blowouts and then they lost games that were closer to that. Yeah, that happened. They lost a lot of close games. But it was just not a good sign. And it was something that should absolutely have been better given the talent involved. They had Alicia Gray, they had Kayla Thornton, they had Liz at the center. Just even those three things alone doesn't mean you should be finishing 9th in defensive efficiency.
Yeah.
Right there. On top of that, so their offense was ranked 5th, pretty good. Still not great, and kind of the same issue. Going back and looking at it, that you could say for their defense, it didn't match the talent. They had good shooters in Gray and Thornton, or I shouldn't say, we'll kind of get to Kayla Thornton a little bit. I don't know that she's really that great a shooter, but this year she shot 35% from three.
Right.
So she was hitting. I think Alicia Gray kind of had a down year for her, but the talent was there. They had the ability to space the floor. They had one of the better on-ball offensive point guards, one of the best on-ball offensive point guards in the game. In Skylar Diggins-Smith, like a living fast break. She gave them easy buckets. And then, of course, they had Liz, who was just an offensive juggernaut that year. Just like one of the greatest defensive seasons of all time, one of the greatest seasons by a big of all time, just a scoring machine. And it was basically watching them play. That was essentially the reason that they even finished that high. If Skylar didn't have the ball, they were kind of a mess. If Liz didn't get it in prime position, it looked like they didn't have a plan whatsoever. I'm a little down I kind of am a little down a bit on Diggins because she doesn't have that off-ball gravity. She doesn't move around a lot when she doesn't have the ball. So it makes it a little more difficult for everybody else. But that characteristic of her just kind of exacerbated it. They didn't really have a plan if they weren't running a pick and roll with her, or she wasn't pushing it in transition. If, people were doubling Liz and she wasn't able to get the ball in good position, things just didn't work. This offense could have been a lot better. And so we're getting to a point where now all of these things kind of led to an event that essentially changed the future for their franchise. And during that losing streak, they fired Fred Williams. They fired him after, let me do some math here, 27, 28, 30, 31 games. So with 3 games to go into the season, they fired their coach. This was very, very, it's like coaches get fired all the time. Sure, this really had an impact because Fred Williams was the one that convinced Liz to come back out and play in the WNBA, to play in Dallas, saying, hey, this isn't like Tulsa anymore. She was not happy that he got fired. I can understand why he got fired given the performance of the team. But at the same time, if your franchise player is like, hey, this is the reason I'm here, probably could have given that a little more thought. So Taj McWilliams Franklin, a great WNBA player in her own right. She was an assistant coach at that point. She came in and coached them for the last 3 games and their playoff loss to Phoenix. Liz at the time was like, I want to come back and I want to win with these ladies, and an opinion that changed over the next few months. Apparently, we kind of all know what happened there. So it did not turn out well. It did not turn out well, and there could have been. It would be interesting to go through and find those like 1 or 2 moments that might have changed the course of this. Winning a game here or there during the end of that streak. Yeah. Maybe has Fred Williams keep his job at some point. Just the fact that it was just like a complete collapse when they looked like a top 4 seed and then they barely made the playoffs, and they only made the playoffs because the one game they won down that stretch, gosh darn it, was against my Las Vegas Aces to put Dallas into the playoffs and kick Vegas out. And it kind of worked out for us in that we got the number 1 pick, and then it kind of didn't work out for us in that we, if we didn't have the number 1 pick, maybe we drafted Nafisa Collier. Anyway, wow, like sliding doors, right? So many things are changed because Dallas beat the Aces in that final spot. But so like just thinking about it from that point, they were extremely unlucky. The defense was not good. It should have been better. The offense probably could have been better. The coaching seemingly not great. I don't really know exactly everything that goes on behind the scenes. There's a number of reasons why teams succeed and fail. It doesn't seem like the coaching was that great. Fred Williams gets fired. Liz is unhappy. Liz eventually wants out. And now this franchise is at a crossroads. What do you do? How do you bounce back from this? I think that moment, Liz wanting out from the team and wanting to go somewhere else is like one of those moments that you have to get right if you're going to recover from this.
Yeah.
So did they get that moment right is really the question. If you were around at the time, you just remember what kind of it was the biggest news at that point is the Liz sweepstakes. Where's she going to go? Who's going to get her? What are they going to get her for?
This was like fall of 2018 or something? Or?
Yeah. Off season between the 2018 or 2018, 2019 season. Time has no meaning anymore ever since we've been stuck in our houses forever and ever. Don't even, when you told me it's like, hey, today you sent out the tweet, I'm like, oh God, it's today. Today's Thursday. Oh my goodness. But yeah. So Liz, as everybody kind of maybe remembers, Liz wanted to go to LA. She was like, I'm going to play with my buddy, Candace Parker. I'm going to play in Los Angeles. They actually hired Fred Williams as an assistant coach out there, which was probably something that was in the back of their minds when they did it. I'm going to go and say, I don't know what Dallas wanted from LA. I know there were some theories and thoughts thrown around. I don't think we ever received any really concrete behind the scenes insider offers on what LA offered for her. And I heard, Maria Vadeva's name was thrown around. I think there was another, the number 7 pick, which wound up being Kalani Brown, was mentioned, something like that. I don't think that, I really don't think that Dallas was interested in that. That was just something that they weren't about. Mm-hmm. They did hire Agler prior to making the trade. So I'm sure he had some input on the LA players that might be coming with them. And whatever it was, it wasn't good enough. Whatever Dallas wanted, LA wasn't willing to part with. It's kind of fun to go back and think about that.
Right.
If what would have been the best that LA could have traded for Liz, because you think if they have Liz, man, they're not losing, they're not getting swept
right
in the conference finals. They're conference finals. Yeah, the semifinals.
If they had Chennai, I could have seen that trade happening.
Right. Yeah, instead of Chennai is not going to LA if they manage to trade for Liz, and so that's another, hurricane in Beijing, or what is it, butterfly in Beijing, sweeping its wings, and a hurricane comes across the world type of deal, right? It's just another sliding doors aspect. It's like what happens to Chennai if they all of a sudden, where does she go? Maybe she goes to Vegas. That could have been something that happened. Wow, I'm I'm happy the way things that worked out.
I'm sure you are.
I am very, very happy. But yeah, if they don't have Chennai and they have Liz instead of Chennai, how much more are they contenders? Can they match up against Washington? That's like basically surrounding Liz with a better team. If she's with the Sparks, and they don't have to give up, Nneka or Cray or something. But I don't know if that was really ever feasible. If somebody else beside that was better than what they wound up acquiring from Vegas.
Anyhow, continue.
Anyway, speaking of which, sorry, I just got off on a tangent there. So they make this trade. Eventually it comes down to trading Liz for Mariah Jefferson, Isabel Harrison, and Las Vegas's 2020 first and second round picks, which wound up being the number 9 and the number 21 pick. So kind of examining those a little bit, each of them. Mariah Jefferson came off of a season which she started injured. She only played, I think it was 15, 16 games. I'm not even going to bother to look it up. Yeah. Where she basically served as a backup for Kelsey Plum. Right. She didn't have, she had a good defensive season. She didn't have the best offensive season, and that was completely understandable.
This is 2018.
Yeah, this is in 2018. So it's still kind of she's a bit far away from being who she was as a number 2 pick coming into the league, and all the potential and promise that comes from that. She looked like a pretty good point guard. She looked like maybe a point guard that could start in the league. She's probably going to get that opportunity again with the Wings, but coming in, not necessarily like a blue ribbon asset. I don't think it's very much a question mark. It's a risk to see where she's at. Isabel Harrison, she also missed the 2017 season, I believe, with some illness. I don't exactly remember.
Well, honestly, the worst thing because I think at this point the Wings already knew Skylar wasn't playing, so to bring in Mariah Jefferson, that's a very good idea.
That absolutely does make sense if Mariah Jefferson actually plays.
Right. No, we didn't know that. But.
Yeah, you could make that argument. Absolutely. Is that they know that Skylar is not playing. They know they're going to need a point guard. It's like, oh, we need to get a point guard in this trade, and that is the most likely one. But the thing is, I kept hearing, they shouldn't trade for anything less. They should get Kelsey Plum. They should get so-and-so. And maybe that's who they were shooting for. Maybe they were shooting for some players further up the depth chart, and Las Vegas held fast. And Las Vegas could have missed out if things didn't work out. But They did work out, and we basically got Liz Cambage by giving away 2 bench players and 2 draft picks. Isabel Harrison also missed the 2018 season. She had last played in San Antonio in 2017. She was one of the better offensive rebounders in the league. I think she finished 7th in the league in offensive rebound rate. Absolutely decent, fully qualified WNBA big. She's definitely got a job in the league. Is she starter material? Is she bench material? Kind of hard to say, but she's kind of on the verge, on the edge of that cusp where she's definitely a rotation player. How good a rotation player, what you would want to expect from her, is kind of a question. But any case, two absolutely decent WNBA rotation players, 2 draft picks. It's not the best haul for the MVP runner-up, but given that Liz was essentially, hey, I'm going to play at this one spot. Okay, no, I will play at one of these 2 places. Okay. And they didn't really have a heck of a lot of leverage. Could they have just held out and said, look, and this was really what I advocated if I were the Dallas GM at the time. I would have just basically said, it's better for us not to have to face Liz Cambage. It actually makes things harder for us if we're having to play her 2 or 3 times a year. I don't see why we can't just sit on it. It's not like what was offered was anything that made them stupendously better, especially given the way that things turned out. Yes. But it was just kind of one of those trades where you're like, we have all the leverage. I get it. If she doesn't want to play, she doesn't want to play. But at the same time, we don't have to hand somebody an MVP player, a top 5 player. So I assume they probably would have gotten grilled for that. I think that's an unpopular opinion, but that's kind of how I feel about it. Is that in a 12-team league, sometimes it just pays to not give somebody a superstar unless you get something really worthwhile coming back from that.
Right. So 2019 season.
Yeah. So we're coming into the 2019 season. The trades that they made, in kind of important ones, I won't get too deep into every single one. They acquired Imani McGee-Stafford for a 3rd-round pick from the Atlanta Dream. They eventually wound up suspending Mariah Jefferson, who I don't know that we ever got official word out, but she did not seem very happy with being traded to Dallas.
Interesting.
She was, I know she was hurt again in the offseason between 2018 and 2019. It seemed like she would have been able to come back, and then she just kind of decided that she wasn't going to come back. She spent, I believe, she was actually suspended. So she did not spend the season on the roster. She did show up for a couple of home games. I do know that. So it wasn't like she was ostracized or she was, boycotting being a Dallas Wing or anything like that. But I know she did, it just kind of came out that she didn't seem very, very happy. And they were still kind of wondering whether or not she was actually ever going to play for him, whether she was interested in playing in Dallas. Obviously, she wound up being interested in playing in Dallas at some point because she signed with them. Then they drafted Arika Ogunbowale. They drafted Megan Gustafson. They drafted Kennedy Burke. And we're kind of moving into some other areas that they may have made a mistake or two here. And number one was for mentioning again, they hired Agler, right? Agler, notorious defensively minded coach, not one for really playing a lot of rookies. I think that's been kind of the criticism of him. Some of the fans of the teams that he's coached have had over the years is that he doesn't really give the young players a chance. And in this case, he didn't have really much of a freaking choice because there were too many young players to sit on the bench, and the veterans were not necessarily good enough to carry the mail. Right. Skylar opts out. Yep. She's having her baby. They were thinking at some point she could come back. She wasn't, or it probably wasn't a good idea. And at any rate, to come back to a team that was not going to make the playoffs and risk hurting yourself or anything for nothing. Right. So she was out for the whole season. So they kind of had the same problem, just looking at it from a roster standpoint. No real point guard. They didn't bother to draft a point guard, which is interesting. They drafted a ball handler playmaker in Ogunbowale, but everyone kind of agrees that point guard is really not her natural position. She's more of a scorer. She's not really much of a super distributor. She seemingly did okay last year. We'll kind of get into that. Mariah Jefferson decides not to play. They don't have anything.
Hurt?
I'm sorry?
Was she hurt?
That was the alleged reasoning is that there was thinking that, you know, she could come back during the season, and they were trying to kind of talk her into that, and then she seemingly was not very interested, and then she just kind of made the decision that she was going to recover from her injury and not come back. Okay. So she sat out the season. So yeah, but they didn't draft a point guard. They drafted Ogun Bowale. They drafted Megan Gustafson, a center that the knock on her, the reason that she lasted to the second round despite being a dominant scorer in college, was essentially her defense. She's not very physical. She doesn't jump very high. Or I shouldn't say she's not very physical, but yeah, she doesn't have the WNBA reach, the height to defend the post. So that was kind of an interesting selection for them at the second round. And they drafted Kennedy Burke, who is a very good defensive guard at UCLA. And she tore it up during the preseason. So it was a real surprise when they got down to cutting players that they cut her, and they cut Gustafson, and they retained a 5'5" point guard in Brooke Bacardi-Williams. And I think that the only reason that they did that was because they didn't have a point guard. they had zero point guards. Yeah. So, I mean, it's understandable from that point. It is not understandable from a long-term view, where this player does really, really well in training camp, is known as a very good defensive player. You're a defensive coach, and you're like, you know, what was the point of that? Why draft her? Why she does everything you want during training camp? And then it's like, oh, we got to cut her. We got to keep somebody who's clearly going to be a defensive problem. But
right,
that's what they did. And then, of course, Kennedy Burke gets snapped up right away by the Indiana Fever, and the Indiana Fever just cut a veteran, Bettina Jelani, who they offered $90,000 to play for them initially, in favor of keeping her. So we can kind of see where that is, how that's another thing that may not have worked out. So anyway, yeah, they cut Gustafson, they cut Burke. They go through the season. It's not going well. They eventually they have a bunch of injuries. They bring Gustafson back, and you know, she plays 7 minutes a game for them for the rest of the year. She does show some real offensive potential. She's a very good pick and pop player. She's pretty good on the boards, offensive rebounding. Decent offensive player. Again, the same problem is there's nothing to indicate that she can play defense at the WNBA level. They trade Teresa Plaisance, was up to that point having a very good season for them, for Dallas, to the Connecticut Sun, for Christina Nigwe. Great trade. I highly endorsed it for both teams at the time. Connecticut, I don't know why they didn't bother using Teresa Plaisance that much as the season went on. I know. I think you talked about that with Steven. Did he bring that up?
I forget. When we talked about Connecticut, that's a long time ago. Whew.
Yes.
It's like April.
Eons. Yeah. It was like about 8 years ago.
Yeah, honestly.
So in any case, we're not here to talk about the Sun, but that was kind of funny. But yeah, great deal getting the number 8 pick, I believe is what she was. Athletic, big, to come in for a veteran that with a guaranteed salary, no less, that you wasn't really going to help you in the future. She played more than I'm bringing this up right now. She played more down the stretch and overall than Gustafson, which kind of is an indicator of which player that Agler preferred.
Yeah, she's also a higher draft pick. So I mean,
she's also a higher draft pick by 4 spots. I don't know, and she even missed like 3 games due to or 2 games, I guess, due to the suspension resulting from the Griner quote unquote fight. The
way of describing that. Okay.
The Brittany Griner chase around the court.
That's a
yeah.
issue.
The Brittany Griner track meet that took place. Skirmish? Donnybrook?
Sure, whatever.
I don't know. Anyway, no use reliving that, as funny as it was. I loved everything about that fight.
Not on air, yeah, but we can talk about it.
Yeah, it was tremendous.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, they draft Anigwe. Everything is basically saying yes, Anigwe is that they are interested in having play this position, which is going to make the 2020 offseason seem very, very strange when it comes back down to it. So
Right.
2019 sucked. They didn't have a real point guard. I mean, they had a point guard, but she was essentially unplayable because other teams would just attack her in Brooke McCarty-Williams.
Yeah.
Their backup for that was Kayla Davis, whose shot, if we harkening all the way back to 2017 when she's hitting 43% or whatever, has just deserted her. She can't finish at the rim. God only knows what's going on.
Yeah.
It is really one of the more bizarre things. Is how do you only shoot 30% at the rim? I don't understand.
Yeah. It was like 35%. I'll give her some more credit.
Oh, okay, all right, fair enough.
It's just like
it was still bewildering for such an athletic player to be able to get into the lane and then just not be able to finish, not be able to draw fouls.
Right. I loved watching, like, when I did my first the first Dallas Wings thing that I did, it was the second team I ever watched, and I was like, dude, this girl is good. Like, she's so good, but she can't finish. She didn't finish in 2019, but she's definitely has a very flowy, beautiful game to her. But
she's super duper athletic. Just one of those players, and this kind of I think a lot of the you watch somebody and you're like, how is this person not a star because they're so athletic, or you kind of assume that they're better than they are production wise, just because they're super athletic. And I think like Diamond DeShields falls into that. Diamond DeShields is a very good player, but I think everybody wants to elevate her a little higher than she normally plays in terms of her efficiency. Her efficiency has just been is kind of at the lower end of the all-star spectrum, I would say, is about where she finished up. And people are like, she's going to win an MVP someday, based on athleticism.
She's young, though.
She's young. It could happen. It could happen to practically any young good player that's out there, right? But I think that people tend to look at athleticism and be like, wow, this level is not something that we normally see. But it isn't also something that normally equates to automatic success in the WNBA, and we've kind of seen that as well.
I had talked about that,
yeah.
I saw that with Nia Coffey for sure. I was like, this girl's so athletic, and you just never hear about her.
Right. That's absolutely another really good example.
Thanks.
But like Kayla Davis is just these tremendously athletic players, and then the touch that you need to make shots. You need to be able to make those decisions also in play. In any case, she was playing out of position. She was essentially the backup point guard for most of the year, and even sometimes getting most of the minutes in that area. It did not work out. She could not shoot from the outside. She could not shoot from the inside. She could not shoot from anywhere. And most advanced metrics painted her as the least productive player in the league. I think we had somebody tweeting out who we responded to. I can't imagine why they cut Kayla Davis. Well, that's why they cut Kayla Davis, is that she was just really terribly unproductive. And you were going now on kind of a 2-year streak of her being unproductive. And I think that's what did it in for her. It's such a competitive league that even if you have potential as an athlete, nobody's going to be carrying you around in a 12-team league unless you're showing that you can produce. And I think that's what it came down to for her.
The one who got locked in her trunk?
Yeah, she got locked in her trunk too. She locked herself in her trunk.
We talked about that, yeah.
We did. That's not a reason to cut her from the team, but it is very, very funny.
Right. Not related.
Not related to the analysis.
Yeah.
It is something I think I would put in like the Dallas handbook, the guidebook or whatever. Lock yourself in her trunk.
Very good. All right.
Just a string of tweets saying, somebody please help me out of my trunk.
Oh my God, what a disaster. All right. So yeah, we'll continue. Kayla Davis.
Okay.
Didn't play.
Yeah. So yeah, no point guard. Arika had to do most of the playmaking. She, this is kind of one of those things now. There was a decision at some point that the Dallas offense was essentially going to be the Kayla Davis Rookie of the Year campaign offense, is what I like to call it. I don't think that it was
Enrique?
Sorry, what did I say?
You said Kayla Davis.
They said Kayla Davis. Oh my God. Okay,
Oh.
definitely not the Kayla Davis Rookie of the Year thing, because number one, she's not a rookie. Number two, never mind. It wasn't Kayla. Erika Ogunbowale. It was going to be the Erika Ogunbowale. I love saying that name. Ogunbowale is like the best last name ever.
It's very
It's tremendous.
Oh man, when you hear, I love listening to podcasts, as people probably know or could tell by me having my own. And I listened to someone who clearly doesn't follow the WNBA and tried to say Enrique, and then was like, how the fuck do I say that? And it was, I don't know what they said, but it was very wrong.
It's 8 syllables. It takes a while to get through it. Enrique Ogunbowale. Is that right? Is that 8 syllables?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's a great name. So yeah, at some point it was just basically, all right, we're going to feed her. She's going to just eat, and she's going to be the primary scoring, primary distribution. On one level, this makes sense. They didn't have anybody who was a ball handler that could handle it at that level. All of the rest of their best players were wings, just spot up shooters, or basically that's it. Alicia Gray's not really a pick and roll person. She's a spot up shooter.
Yeah.
Kayla Thornton, not a pick and roll person at all. She's a spot up shooter. And bigs who are just who thrive off of already existing plays that go out and get offensive rebounds or just spot up for shots. Yeah. So kind of the same thing. So in that respect, having her as a primary ball handler makes total sense. Having her be that much of the primary ball handler and take that many shots, at some point it just kind of seemed like they weren't trying to look for the best options. It was, give it to her, she's going to dribble for 15 seconds and try and get open or make something happen. Sometimes it worked. Sometimes she had these tremendous games where either teams tried to double her, which was kind of wound up being a mistake. It was better to just let her take her difficult shots, even if she was really good at hitting them. Vegas fell into that trap a little bit, but they wound up winning the game anyway. There were a few other instances where it's like, oh yeah, she's doing a tremendous job of shot creation, and then at some point you just single cover her, let her take her difficult shots. If she hits them, she hits them. If she doesn't, you've taken everybody else out of the game. You're probably going to win, and that's most of the time I think what happened. She got a lot better as the season went on, became a bit more efficient. But this isn't really the kind of offense that you can succeed with. If you're going to have somebody have that high a usage rate, again, not going to look it up. I do know that she was in the top 10 to 15. Yeah.
Top 5, I'm pretty sure.
Top 5, yeah.
On Twitter about that, actually. Yeah, she was at 30.4.
Right. That's a lot. For a rookie guard, I don't think we've seen anything like that since maybe Cappie Pondexter at some point.
The only person who had over 20 was Azare Stevens, who played 9 games.
Yes, right. And before, oh yeah.
Okay, sorry, continue.
Yeah, so it's the kind of thing that is, if you intend on going into this season replicating that, I don't think that's a path to success. If you are going to use that much possession, I think you have to be monstrously efficient for that to work. You can kind of get away with that with a Liz, a Deladon, even though I don't think she really uses that many possessions. But it's that kind of thing. It's like, all right, if you're saying that this is the first and last option, you really need to be able to score and create. She was, on the whole, below average in efficiency. She got better as the season went on. Her pick and roll playmaking down towards the bottom in terms of pick and roll efficiency. Just it was not something that really worked. So there was kind of that. You can't really talk about the 2019 Dallas Wings without the Enrique offense.
If I were, my argument would be well, who else are you going to develop? You may as well just develop her if you know that your season's kind of okay, we're not going to really go anywhere. Why not give her those minutes and develop her as much as possible? Because what are you going to do? Develop Alicia Gray's 3-point shot when she catches you? What is that? So
That's fair. That's entirely fair. I was early on. I kind of agreed with that. I was like, yeah, just let her go and take her shots. I think it was more. I think it was kind of more in the realm of the rookie of the year argument, which in the grand scheme of things doesn't really mean anything. In that you're not like this is not an ideal thing, even if you're right. From a development standpoint, perfectly fine. Go ahead. From a we're trying to win games standpoint, I don't think it was the most ideal, optimal thing that they could have done.
Right, but it didn't really. Did it seem like they were really trying to win games? Like
it did not. I'm going to be honest with you. It didn't seem like 100% they were invested, and maybe they shouldn't have been. Maybe it was just like, yeah, we know this team is not making the playoffs. They can't defend.
Maybe
we don't have enough
right.
playmakers. Right. Then just like
done well, for like what your goal is.
True.
I'm just stretching here. Please continue before I go down.
No, I like it. Devil's advocate. Perfectly fine with that. No, I think you're right. I do think just from a player development standpoint, there's no harm in just like letting her go nuts and seeing what she's capable of, what she's doing, and what she did was very impressive. I mean, overall, it was just the ability to be able to handle that much so quickly, even if the efficiency isn't great. Then it's still really impressive. It's still just like the kind of thing. It's like, oh wow, you can do that. You can get your shot. You can hit these difficult shots. That's pretty cool.
I'll give some numbers here. So she took 162 3-pointers over this year at 35%. Where is she from the line? She shot 81% from the line. Great. Yeah. 44% free throw rate. Her true shooting. Oh, this is Alicia Gray. Sorry.
I was like, wait a minute, those numbers sound actually really, really good. What did I miss?
No, wait, free throw, yes, I got right. So 81%. No, okay. Okay, wait, I'm on per 36 minutes. That's annoying. Okay, no, I'm still right. I said it right. Okay.
Okay.
I did. Okay, wait, but her advanced metrics. Okay. Let's see. True shooting, 50. Effective field goal, 44. I mean, she was fine. She got to the line 32% of the time. Free throw rate. I'm not sad about her, at least on that end of the floor, of what she was able to do at 30% usage. 35%? Jesus.
It is really, really impressive. And she got better as the season went on, which was, I think, also kind of a key factor in that.
Yeah.
So yeah, very, very promising young player. Absolutely. I don't think that it's a good thing for her to sustain that level of usage. You're going to want to move it around and have other people do things and be part of an offense rather than be the entire offense. And the way things are looking, it looks like it's headed down that, but we'll kind of get into that as we get into the 2020 season.
We'll get there eventually.
We will get there eventually. Yeah, we'll make it there.
Yeah. We've been doing this for 50 minutes or more. Jeez.
Oh God.
We're good though. Do you have more specific players, or can I give the general background of like what happened last year for them? Just like.
Go for it.
Yeah, they went 10-24. They were 11th on both offensive and defensive ratings, so that's bad. But they got 10th in the league, I'm pretty sure, which is surprising. I guess they're also pretty slow, but that's kind of.
Yeah, I think that's an Agler thing too. Is that they were kind of limiting possessions.
I don't know why. Like this year, I think it'll be different. They'll play faster, but that's something that we'll talk about later. They beat the Sun once and beat the Sparks twice. Okay, I mean.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. They had some surprising wins.
Right.
I guess absolutely. If you kind of look like this and you still manage to win 10 games, almost a third of your games, then you're going to have some surprising wins along the way.
Right.
I guess.
Yeah. Okay. So more things. Do you want to talk about their style, perhaps? I mean, we kind of did, at least offensively.
So yeah, you did mention kind of the slow down aspect of their game, and I think for losing teams, that's actually a pretty good strategy. If you're the more you slow it down, the more you can bring variability into the mix. And if you're a bad team, that's a good thing.
Like the bleeding's not as bad. Is that
exactly right? So if you if you're allowing, oh God, I'm gonna throw out numbers here and they're not going to be apt, but all right, say like the difference is between 60. That's not going to be that low. Say like it's between 70 possessions versus 80 possessions, right?
Mhm.
Just looking at sample size, if you take 70 possessions, then the distance between good and bad is decreased. You know what I'm saying? So if you're like a team that scores 45% of the time as opposed to the other team scoring 55% of the time, and there's kind of a margin of error within that, the more that you compress it, the less that it favors the better team.
Yes.
It's just going to you're going to get closer. You're going to make things easier. On top of that, I would say that just looking over the offense, aside from Arike, and it's kind of hard to say whether or not she works better as a fast-paced player versus a slow-paced player.
Right.
I think it kind of lended itself a bit to a slower-paced team. Alicia Gray is not a super speedy player. She's a big guard. Kayla Thornton, kind of the same thing. Isabel Harrison, Glory Johnson. Their best players are not these transition players,
Right.
which is kind of not great. If those are the easy freebie points, and if you're not having anybody get out and run and get to the rim, then that's just something that makes things a little bit easier for you without having the skill to get closer than you normally would. So that's probably overall kind of another problem for them last year. They had to get into a half-court offense, and then the half-court offense had to be good, and it wasn't good for a variety of reasons, mostly because they just didn't have that playmaker, and they didn't have any player that could score at a high percentage that was like a guaranteed bucket for them since Liz had left.
Yes. What about defensively last year? It doesn't look like they were very good.
No, they were not very good, and that was mostly a result of allowing shots at the rim. They just didn't have Imani's a pretty decent rim protector, but she was on offense just the kind of player that made it almost like a playing 4-on-5 on offense. She couldn't get her own shot. She couldn't get in deep. She was just the kind of player, if she scored, it was usually off of a putback or something like that. Didn't have that offensive repertoire to be something, didn't space the floor. So that kind of limited the ability to play her in those instances. And I mean, that's essentially what it came down to is, aside from her, they're the bigs that they relied most on, Isabel Harrison, Glory Johnson early on, Teresa Plaisance, and our good friend Megan Gustafson, and Christina Nigwe. You're smiling. We're gonna get into Meg, but yeah, none of them defended the rim particularly well last year, and it was just a series. Vegas didn't have Liz for their game in Dallas. They ran with Carolyn Swords at center. Carolyn torched them in that game. She was the MVP in that game. They didn't have enough to even stop her, and she is what I would call just a good backup level center. And
right,
yeah, it didn't. That was the crux of it all, is that they just could not defend on the inside.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
They have good backup centers, but that's kind of.
Yeah, but nobody who could defend at any rate. Right. That's what you have to have somebody who can protect the rim. They didn't have anybody who could protect the rim at all. Sure. On top of that, Arike, for as good as she is on the offensive end, and this isn't like a super big deal, because if you do have somebody that can protect the rim, it's not the ability to stay in front of your man suddenly becomes less of an issue. But since they didn't, and she was an absolute sieve on defense. She was just a walking turnstile, like one of the worst perimeter defenders in the league last year.
What numbers did you look at, or did you just watch her game and you're like, yeah?
I was watching. I was watching just because of the Collier versus Arike comparisons and everything. So, and I think that was like the main difference. You could get close to arguing that she was the offensive rookie of the year. I wouldn't raise too much of an argument against that. They were in entire zip codes defensively. Collar was just so much better in every aspect, and Arike was an 100% negative contributor on defense. It's something that a lot of young players struggle with. So this isn't necessarily going to be her life over, her destiny over the course of her career. But she was not good, and it's understandable.
Yes, Collier is someone in the paint behind her who's really good. So,
100%. That makes a huge difference. But yeah, she was a very versatile defender. I mean, Collier was a very versatile defender. She could guard multiple positions. She's very smart, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Collier's great. Mathias is great. Moving on. So Arike, yeah. In addition to just the fact that she wasn't good, it was a bit understandable. She was very offensive focused. That's where she was saving her energy for. She knew that she was going to have the ball and she was going to be using it. So kind of understandable at that rate. I don't think that's anything that you really ding her for in analyzing her as a player too much, because she probably will get better in that area and she probably will not be so offense reliant. But last year, not great. What else? So defensively, the talent was not there. Offensively, just not enough in the playmaking section. That kind of hurt everything else down the line. They didn't have a reliable pick and roll threat. They were relying on Arike kind of playing out of position. They had point guards that weren't point guards, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Which kind of then takes us now into the 2020 offseason. Bring up the transactions timeline again.
Yep. Do you have that, or you want me to?
I do. I got it up and running. This is one of my tabs.
You go.
I'm here. I've got it. So going into this upcoming season, they finally get Moriah Jefferson inked, and I'm kind of quoting from memory here because I don't have the contract page up. 3 years, $170K per year.
All right.
Kind of a lot, guaranteed. That's a lot given her history.
Right.
But whatever. Yeah. That's where they put the money. It's not like they're super struggling in the cap area. I think it's one of those things that could bite them down as things go. And this, I believe, was like first day of free agency. They did these deals. They were like super duper active on the very first day. So they signed Moriah Jefferson to a 3-year deal. They signed Megan Gustafson to a 3-year deal. I think it was above the minimum. For her, just not by a whole lot, but I mentioned it at the time. Very kind of a questionable idea, even if she was technically an unrestricted free agent. Maybe there was some demand. Maybe there was a team out there that wanted her. I find it really hard to figure that there was, but maybe there was. So they're just like, yeah, we're going to lock you up, even if it's not guaranteed. We're going to lock you up at this rate for 3 years. They signed Imani, which eventually just kind of wound up becoming moot since she went on to law school. Then Carly Samuelson, get their training camp contracts in right away. Carly Samuelson, Morgan Birch. They're going to make sure that they have players. Isabel Harrison, I think those terms were really close to whatever Moriah Jefferson made. It seemed like a bit of an overpay for what she was.
Gotcha.
And then Skylar Diggins-Smith, and I don't remember. I think it maybe have just been the core offer, basically the 1 year, $215K. I don't know, or maybe they maxed that out. I'm not 100% sure. It doesn't matter necessarily for Dallas at any rate,
right?
Because Skylar pretty much announced that she was not going to be playing with the team. So it wound up being a sign and trade. They signed her to the core offering. They traded her to the Phoenix Mercury for the 2020 number 5 pick, the 2020 number 7 pick, and one of those was the one they got from Connecticut. I think it was the number 7. I don't know. And a 2021 first round pick.
Yeah, that's what I have.
Yeah. At the time, I thought that those. I wasn't really sold on the 2020 draft. I'm still not essentially sold on the 2020 draft. And
really
I kind of. Yeah, I think so. All these draft picks that have been kind of they got moved a lot if you think about it.
Right.
Connecticut had that one. Then DeWanda Bonner decides to sign with them as an unrestricted free agent, and then they turn it into a sign and trade deal so that Phoenix can get something back for her, and DeWanda was able to make the full max and not just a UFA max. This pick is very, very well traveled. Connecticut's pick at that point went to.
Right?
Sorry?
It was the 7th pick?
Yeah, I think it was the 7th pick. I'm sure. I could be, somebody out there can correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, it's.
Why I'm even saying it. It's fine.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. Is like I'm not sure how much value those picks had for teams at the time. They certainly didn't have any value. Well, it seems like they shouldn't have had any value for Connecticut, who seemed like they had, their main rotation already decided on.
Right.
As things would turn out for Connecticut, their main rotation was definitely not very much not decided on, and now they probably are kind of looking back, going, "Yeah, it would have been really nice to have some of those."
Yeah, they've lost
those mid first round picks.
They've lost everyone but the Thomases.
The Thomases, yeah, and they got Bonner and the Thomases, and we should probably check Twitter. God only knows, maybe.
I know. I looked at the tweet today. I don't know if I did. Of just like everyone just stay, just.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody else moved on. I should probably glance at that without trying to reveal that I'm glancing at that.
Yeah.
Okay, the Sky Show just tweeted that Snap Wilson's diamond for MVP slander.
Diamond for MVP slander.
Yeah, we're commenting on the tweets for this very, very podcast.
we can take a little look at what's going on Twitter. Oh wow, I got 8 things happening. Ooh, nice.
Oh yeah. Well,
Wow, you have made some splashes here.
Oh no! People are actually listening to the podcast.
Oh,
I wasn't prepared for this. So, hi everybody. We'll get to all of your tweets in due time. This is something that we could probably go through these and just like address them one by one.
Yes. I think that'll be really fun.
That would actually be really fun, just like live addressing of tweets.
Oh my God, Sky Show's so funny. Stop it.
He's freaking hilarious. So anyway, these mid first round picks, I wasn't really sold on them. I think the teams were just kind of handing them around. And now I've changed my mind a bit about that, especially with the way that things have gone, is that like decent players, even semi-promising players, kind of valuable when people are dropping out of the league left and right, and you don't have the assets that you think you have. Like Connecticut had to basically build a bench from scratch. They probably could have used some of these players. But anyway, this pick traveled from Connecticut to Dallas or Connecticut to Phoenix to Dallas. It is a return for Skylar Diggins-Smith, 3 first-round picks. I think it sounds better on paper than it just is in reality, is what I kind of come down to with this.
Right.
And then they move on. The next one is trading. I'm just gonna call her Astu, my girl Astu. She's a mononym for me from now on, because I know I cannot say her last name right, and I will not insult her by trying. Traded Astu to Dallas for a 2021 first round pick from Phoenix. You kind of were skeptical a little bit about her.
I was. I'm not anymore.
You're not anymore. So what changed your mind?
She's really good. Okay, I do think it has to do with the athleticism bias that we were talking about before, but I was like,
sure.
This woman can jump. She runs the floor. She can space the floor pretty well. I'm not, totally happy with it, but for this team, she's the best big she's the best big after Liz that I think we've seen, which is kind of crazy, but for Dallas. So
mm-hmm.
Do I have any specific numbers? I don't know. But
I did have some. Okay, and most of this relates to her playing down the stretch for Chicago after Jantel Lavender got hurt, where she basically stepped in as the starting power forward. I don't have the actual numbers. They're impressive though. She played about 25 minutes a game. She shot really well from 3, and I think that's kind of where people are with her in terms of the potential. She is
33 attempts, I think, though. It wasn't very many.
It wasn't very many. but she looks good doing it. Is kind of the case. I think that is something that people have kind of had that as in her estimation, is that she is the player that has shown maybe in international play that she can stretch the floor, because I've heard it before.
Right.
Before they started putting her in there. She looked great out there, is the upshot of it, during that time when people thought that Lavender's injury might have sunk the team. She stepped in. She played really, really well. Right. She shot well from three. She played good defense. I don't think she's the paint protector that Dallas is looking for either, right, necessarily, but she's definitely going to get that chance. She will probably be their starting center. I would imagine she would be their starting center, and she's that kind of player that can draw out bigs away from the hoop, and you got to go out and defend her out there if the shooting does turn out to be for real and if everything breaks well. So
right.
In some respect, yeah, and then okay, of course they also signed her, and it was whatever the offer was. It was an offer from the Atlanta Dream. They made a restricted free agent offer for her. Mm-hmm. That was the upper max, or not the upper max, the lower max, 185K, I believe, something along that lines. For 4 years, I want to say. I could be getting all these facts wrong, and everybody's going to just be roasting me. We'll go through all the tweets roasting me and telling me how wrong I am. That'll be fun. But anyway, yeah, it was a lot. I thought that it was a bit of a reach to offer her that much, but Chicago matched it, and then they were able to trade her to Dallas for the find it again, the 21 first round pick from Phoenix. So God only knows where that will wind up, but it's another asset for Chicago, for a player that they were not going to retain at that salary that they couldn't afford to. Yeah, it's a big commitment from Dallas. That is another one that could really just kind of wind up biting them in the butt if she's not able to replicate her level of play.
Right. I like her. Yeah. I like her though better than Amani and Harrison. That's the thing.
100%. Yeah, there's definitely a lot more potential there.
But I agree. I think the interior is going to be really hard for her because she is so slight, and who was the people who were, I don't know. Chicago also had a really one of the top bigs in the league with Steph Dolson next to Stu. So she won't have that support and won't have.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. Is that surrounded by Chicago's offense, right, is you're bound to look a lot better than you are surrounded by Dallas's offense. That's entirely true. So yeah, it is. It's absolutely a risk. It is one of those deals you look back on and you could be like, yeah, they definitely shouldn't have done that. I don't think this is a slam dunk signing by any stretch of the imagination. Right. The 4-year lower max thing is just, I think it's really just kind of, it's a little over the edge. Even if she does hit where people hope she can reach, she doesn't strike me as a primary scorer in that regard anyway. She could strike me as a very, very good player. Still probably not an all-star or level player, but maybe a sub-all-star level player.
Right.
That's kind of a lot in this particular salary cap area, where you want to save your money for that home run swing. You want to get that one player that can kind of take you up a level, and they've maybe have made it a little bit harder for that. But at the same time, maybe it all works out for them. So who knows?
Yeah. Who else? So we got that.
So then we got So then now we have this trade. I absolutely, it's so complicated. I love it from both sides. The trade for Chicago Sky trades Katie Lou Samuelson and a 2021 first round pick to the Dallas Wings for Azurá Stevens. Chicago fans, as far as I can tell on Twitter, love this deal. Absolutely love it. They think Azurá Stevens is their big of the future. She's exactly what they've been looking for. The athletic, rim running, yada, yada, yada. Katie Lou didn't work out, blah, 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 blah. I'm a little lukewarm on this, personally. Right. You can't really say that it's a slam dunk for either side, although Azurá has definitely done more in the league than Katie Lou.
Yeah.
I really liked Katie Lou Samuelson coming out of college. I thought she was a unique player. her combination, height, athleticism, playmaking ability, shooting ability. I thought she was somebody that was built for the WNBA going forward. I think that she played out of position last year. She's not a power forward. And if you say that, if you're like, okay, she's not a power forward, she's a wing. The theory was that she would not be able to guard wings. If she's not able to guard wings, then you don't draft her at number 4 because then she doesn't have a position. Essentially, is what it comes down to. She's not a big. She 100% is not a big. She's not going to be out there banging with all of the players that play the 4 and the 5 in the WNBA. She's just not built like that. Her game in college was getting the ball up at the top of the key, being able to look over smaller defenders, make plays, or play off ball. She's a tremendous off-ball player in college, where you have to respect her shot. At the same time, she was athletic enough to duck in on closeouts and take it to the rim and do all these things. She never really got a chance to play like that at all in Chicago last year. It was extremely frustrating as a Katie Lou stan. Like, I honestly would have been low-key thrilled, even if Las Vegas had taken her at number 1, because I thought that she had the potential to be really, really good. Things did not work out for her last year, to say the least. Injuries and just a bad fit. It didn't work out, so I can understand Chicago looking at their roster and saying she's just not going to get the chance to do what she wants here. In that respect, getting Azurá Stevens is a very good trade-off. The more I looked at Azurá Stevens, the more skeptical I got is, I think, how I'll phrase this. She could wind up being a very good player. She could wind up being somebody who actually contributes on defense. She's a very good rebounder. She has not shown the ability to hit the 3 in college or in the pros. So I don't really have a lot of faith in her ability to spread the floor very well. Right. And at the same time, for all the promise and potential and whatever we expect out of her, she hasn't been able to get the playing time behind Glory Johnson, behind Isabel Harrison. If she's good, then why is she playing 16 minutes a game behind Isabel Harrison? It's kind of what I came down to on this. She stands out a little bit. She's a physical specimen for sure, and you really notice her on the court. But at the same time, it's just like, what's missing? Why are you not getting your reps? Especially, that a team that last year was just struggling so hard on defense. Why aren't you getting 20 minutes a game? Why aren't you getting, something like that? She's also one of those players that, like, her game is spot up shooting. She's not the pick and roll big, rim runner, get to the rim type. She's got to make her outside shots, because that's basically what she was doing. She was doing that and getting offensive putbacks. And beyond that, her involvement in the offense was not that great. If she's going to contribute in this league, if she's going to be anything beyond a backup, I almost feel like it has to come at the other end. And she certainly has the body and the athleticism to make that happen. I don't think it's happened to this point. She hasn't really shown that defensive instinct or that ability to dissuade shooters and to stop people at the rim at such a level that you're like, yeah, we're going to put her out there and then just live with her offense, whatever it is.
Okay, well, here's the thing. I see what you're saying, but like in 2018, she wasn't going to get any minutes as a rookie behind, Liz.
Not behind Liz, but
this year she only played 9 games.
And this year she only played 9 games. But again, even in those 9 games, she wasn't really given. She was given less time.
Right. It's super weird. But I would have.
That's kind of where I'm at with her, though. Is that I don't know where she fits into the offense as yet, unless she develops like a 15-footer, and she hasn't played enough to really indicate where she belongs yet. It is basically just due to the injuries last year and again her rookie season, where she kind of developed out of had to carve out her spot a little bit. I just think that if if we're looking at somebody, if we're projecting somebody to be a lot better, if we're projecting it to be like, yes, this is absolutely a slam dunk, we're getting the better player, I would want to have a little bit more of a track record in that regard.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway,
I really think it's the athleticism, kind of like the love for that.
The love for the athleticism.
Dude, it's so fun to watch. Like the way when you see Azrae Stevens at 6'7", however much she weighs, she should be 200 pounds, I would hope. I don't know. But like, stop on a dime and pull up for a jumper 15 feet away from the basket. You're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Really
100%.
Like finishing and getting that touch.
So this could be another one, right? If we're looking at this from a Dallas point of view, this could be another one that maybe bites them in the rear end if she turns out to be a really good defensive player, because that's 100%. You can almost say that's the number one area that they really require something. Right. They need somebody to be a stopper on defense. They know her. Whatever they felt, they obviously didn't feel like that was 100% going to happen, because they traded her for a player who kind of had a terrible rookie year. And
also didn't have anything to show for a rookie year.
Well, yeah, 100%. There's so much to say about this trade. If we were discussing the Chicago Sky, I'd have zillions of other things to say, but I will leave that to more experienced hands who can talk about that team. So we have the Katie Lou trade. Then we come upon the Los Angeles Sparks trade Marina Mabrey to the Wings for a 2021 second round pick. I love this. I do. I love this. Pick? 2020 second round pick. They have so many. They're getting so many first round picks through all of these other deals. No, she was a second rounder.
Right. So they're just trading round pick from 2019 2021.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
I like Mabrey though. I think she has. Yeah, Mabrey? she has a lot of potential. She looks like right now the end of the bench, but I think she's somebody eventually who could probably step up. And just from an LA perspective, I kind of thought it was a little weird to have to dump her because you're signing Simone Augustus a little bit, but again, I'll leave that to whoever wants to discuss the Sparks. From Dallas's end, I do like that. It was another just another person with some shooting ability. What they're trying to do is very clear. If they're getting the right people to do it, that's a little more questionable. But they're at least they kind of have a goal in mind, which is to get as much shooting as possible. Everybody that they signed, Mariah Jefferson is not necessarily considered a great three-point shooter, but if you look at her career numbers in the league, she's not bad. Looking at every deal that's been made up to this point that we've kind of gone over is they're trying to acquire shooting. They get who is it?
Katie Lou.
My brain they get a Stu. Stretch the floor. They get Katie Lou. They get Marina Mabrey. It's very clear what they're trying to do. I endorse it. I mean, it is at least a plan.
Yeah, you lose Davis, so that'll also help with that.
Right.
So, I thought there was going to be more to that, and then there wasn't. So that's.
Well, we're getting there. We're getting to now all of the cuts and everything. So then the draft comes. They've got 4 first-round draft picks, and then they traded the 2020 number 9 pick, our good friend Taylor Hill, the 2020 number 15 pick to the Liberty, or a 2020. Oh my God! Here we go. This damn trade. 2021 first-round pick from Washington for some reason. I cannot say enough about that. I don't know how that happened, and a 2021 second-round pick. I won't rehash this. I do not know why they got that 2021 first round pick from Washington. I don't know why Washington gave it up. I don't know how it wound its way to Dallas for a player that is a negative asset who New York subsequently cut and is paying their salary. I don't get it. I don't understand it. It's wild to me that pick came back, but whatever. the number 9, the number 15 to the New York Liberty for a 2021 first round pick from Washington and a 2021 second round pick. They didn't need that number 9 pick. Clearly, they had 3 other first round picks. So yeah. Let's just go into the draft. Satu Sabali, the second, number 2 overall.
Are we going to count it Sabali for the rest of the time? Because it's definitely Sabali.
Oh, is it Sabali? No, I'll go
I say
Sabali. Sabali. I have to wrap my mouth around that one. Sabali.
I mean, you can say Sabali, but it's gonna annoy me every time you say it.
Oh no! You know what? We're doing the Astu thing now. She's a mononym. She's Satu. I'm pronouncing that right. I hope.
Oh my gosh! I have a funny thing to tell you later. I don't know. Actually, I don't know what's funny to you. I don't know what your interests are, but whatever. There's a funny thing that we thought of with Satu's name. It's funny. Anyhow.
Satu. They got Satu and they got Astu. And I feel like they should be like soccer players and just go by their first names. So Satu Sabali. Satu Sabali. Bella Alari. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Now I'm shook.
No, we'll say Bella.
Bella. So yeah, Satu, Astu, Bella. Is it Alari?
I say Allery.
Allery? Are you sure about that?
I haven't heard her say her name before.
Okay. I think I watched the draft and nothing really jumped out at me as being terribly wrong. But we're all right. First names for everybody.
But Bella. Anyhow, this is so dumb. Let's keep going.
And now I'm scared. I'm pronouncing everybody's name wrong.
You should just
say Ty Harris, and I'm just going to leave the rest of the first name out of it. So Ty, I know she goes by Ty, so that's fine.
Okay.
Ty Harris, and we won't get into Louisa Giesel-Soder or the rest. But so they get three first round picks. Again, very offensively focused. Satu, whatever.
Oh no.
I'm shook, Shay. I'm shook.
Oh man.
Tremendous player. Undoubtedly is. I mean, it will be a huge upset if she's not great. Bella, kind of a reach at number 5. I don't think many people had her that high. Some people did. Ben Dole had her going at 4, almost. Yeah, wanted Atlanta to pick her at number 4, so he liked it. We'll get a little bit into her in just a sec. Ty Harris, very solid point guard. The South Carolina powerhouse thing. She won a title in her freshman year. She might have won a title in her senior year if the NCAA tournament happened. Tremendous that she was available at 7 for them to get. No real complaints about this draft. They obviously kind of had that offensive focus in mind, and they added to it. From I think the player that I have the most reservations about is Bella. Mm-hmm. I did a tweet storm basically analyzing one of the few games that I could find online where she actually played some decent opposition. She looked like a train wreck on defense. This was during her junior year. Did not look good at all. She actually looked better offensively than I would have guessed, and she didn't even have a particularly good shooting game. But she passes, her playmaking, her court vision is really, really good. Her instincts on that end are really, really good. So she might even be a better offensively than I had originally given credit for her, because I thought she was just kind of a straight, like, floor stretch shooter type. No, she can put the ball on the floor. She's a unicorn. She can put the ball on the floor. She has great passing instincts. It might be worth it even if she doesn't play defense very well. But that, in terms of winning games, that's going to be very, very hard to get her minutes, because the power forward spot is like the most difficult spot in the WNBA. That's where a great concentration of very good offensive players are. And if you can't stay in front of them, then you're going to have a problem, as they say. But anyway, good draft for them. No real complaints about that. Yeah. They signed all them. Then it came down to cut down time because they had like 16 players. So they waived Kayla Davis for the reasons that we've kind of acknowledged. And even I think if she had a better year, if she was relegated to the wing, didn't spend so much time, I think it would have been tough anyway for her with this roster. When you have Arike, Kayla Thornton, Alicia Gray. somehow we missed this because I'm blaming Curtis because it's not in here, but didn't they got Megan Walker too from UConn?
What?
Did they? My
That's
am
New
I
York.
stoned? New York. Never mind. Forget that. I'm thinking of Ben Dole's article where Ben had them drafting Lauren Cox, getting Satu Sabali, Lauren Cox, Megan Walker, and Ty Harris, all with the first round picks. That's what I'm thinking. All right, never mind. No, okay. So they get these three.
Not how that was going to happen.
Yeah, that was never happening, but it was tremendous to read. I enjoyed it. So anyway, yeah, they cut Kayla Davis. I think she would have had a hard time making the team, even if she had a better season last year, and it wasn't so hard for her. I do think she will eventually get a chance at any rate. I think just somebody's going to look at that athleticism and just like take a flyer on it. They waive their what do you call it? Training camp contracts, Morgan Birch, Carly Samuelson. And then it came down to the final decision for the roster. They trade Christine Anigwe and a 2021 third-round pick to the Los Angeles Sparks for a 2021 second-round pick. I'm including these draft picks because they kind of show you a little something. Dallas's 2021 third-round pick probably not going to be too far off from Los Angeles's 2021 second-round pick if you kind of assume how the teams are going to go this year. If Dallas is not great, if Los Angeles is great, which seems kind of the way that it's leaning a little bit, then these picks are going to be maybe only a few spaces apart. So there's not a lot of difference there. So basically, Christine Anigwe for moving up a few spots from the third round to the second in a draft that's not that great.
Yeah, that's not really great. They needed that. I think they want someone big down there.
All right. I don't want to get too carried away with Christina Anigwe. I use this a little bit to just kind of beat them over the head for signing Megan Gustafson so early. I think that Christina Anigwe is a better prospect than Megan Gustafson, and that just comes down to I've hashed this out so many times on Twitter. I don't want people to get any more mad at me. My position is that she doesn't fit into a WNBA defense. She might prove me wrong. I just don't see it. I don't think that she can defend the rim. I think that she's got is a decent offensive player, but I don't think you can get away with not being able to defend in the WNBA if you're playing the post. Anigwe, I don't want to get too carried away with this. She really hasn't shown that she's going to be great in that area or yet. This is basically all on predicated on what you might call pedigree. She's super athletic, and we might be overrating that again. She's just a jumping bean. She's got a tremendous reach. She looks like she'll be a great defender. She hasn't yet shown that. It may never happen. We may look back on this, and somebody could even look at me and be like, "God, you were all about Christina Anigwe, and she hasn't done anything." Could be true. You just have to also go by who was Agler giving the minutes to last year? He was giving the minutes to Anigwe. He wasn't giving the minutes to Megan Gustafson. The whole thing strikes me as weird. Even if you like her, even if you think she has promising, sign her that early, to sign her to a 3-year contract, and then it eventually just comes down. You don't know what's going on. All of a sudden, you wind up with all these draft picks. You wind up with Alari, who also doesn't look like the strongest defender. I don't see necessarily a match there if you're going to pair the two of them together. It seems like you're headed for just kind of having a train wreck on the bench on defense. I thought that they did that deal too early. I thought that they did it without seeing how things shake out, seeing who might be released, seeing what might happen, and they wound up giving away the number 8 pick in the 2019 draft for moving up 4 spots from the 3rd round to the 2nd round. I don't like it. I like that deal for Los Angeles quite a bit. I don't like it for Dallas. But whatever. We're talking about the 5th big at this point.
But that's not what we're talking about today. So.
They waive Carly Samuelson, and now they're up their 12-man roster. I haven't checked Twitter. I don't know if anybody else has decided to jump ship on this season.
If anyone knows who's listening and watching, Please let us know.
Yeah, tweet at us. I'll periodically check Twitter to see if we missed any great news.
They want us. We've been requested to do a podcast together with Chicago Sky Show.
Oh yeah, 100%. I love that idea.
Yeah, I need to start having these conversations and not needing to do so much research, because like the research takes so long and I can't just like pop these out. But maybe I could do like less formal ones. That would be fun.
It's fine. It's fine. I don't think this is incredibly formal anyway, so I think we're doing okay.
Yeah, no, this has not been too formal. But that's because like I'm silly today. I'm just in such a good mood. I'm talking to someone like, what? It's very crazy. So okay, are we through all the trades yet?
Yeah, so we're through all the trades. We're through all the transactions. They have their 12-man roster. We know who's on this team.
Right. Let me just read it out loud in alphabetical order by last name.
Okay.
Allery, Gray. Nope. I mean Bella, Gray, Gustav, Kai, Harris, Harrison, Jefferson, Mabry, Astu, Agumbawale, Sabali, KLS, and Thornton. That's 12.
That sounds right.
Good work. We did it.
Fantastic.
Okay. Start in 5?
Yeah, if we can figure that out, I guess. Would we agree that it would be Jefferson, Enrique, Thornton, Harrison? Do you think, or do you think Bella might get the start? It's kind of we're kind of at like I don't even necessarily. Oh, Sabali, duh. What am I talking about? Yeah, you're right. Thornton, Sabali, and Astu.
Astu. Okay, so I would think that Gray starts over Thornton. That's my only difference there.
Ooh. Well, it just hasn't happened, so I don't know that they're going to start doing it. But yeah, I that wouldn't shock me.
Alicia started more. Well, that's not true.
No, that's not. She came off the bench.
Well, she didn't start 5 games. Thornton was out more games, so I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. So that's an interesting thing.
I thought we would disagree on this.
Well, right. So we don't know. That's kind of where we're at. We really don't know who Aguilar is going to pick as his starting 5. He could go in a few different directions. He could have Sabali at the 3 and then start Harrison or Bella at the 4 even. It wouldn't shock me.
Interesting. Well, I like Gray in there. I like her ability to shoot and stretch the floor more than Thornton. I think she's been more consistent over the years. I think she's a lot better in transition. Better shooter, as I said. She gets to the line way up more often, even in a system that didn't have that many space or like whatever. I don't need that point. Goodbye. That's gonna be yeah. This is so silly. Okay. And then I think the argument for Thornton, I think, is like she's a much more versatile defender. So, you know.
I think you're right. The Thornton, I think, plays a little bigger on defense. Alicia is very solid. I thought she guarded. I've said this a few times. I thought she guarded Kayla McBride better than anybody last year. She's got really good size for a guard. She has been a better offensive player than Thornton, absolutely. And it's kind of surprised me. I thought they were maybe a little bit closer in that, and then maybe Alicia just had like a much better year last year. She had a tremendous year last year. Advanced stats darling, super efficient. Just did like hit her shots and was just did everything that you could possibly ask from that role. The thing
was that she in the first half of the season, I looked this up and I did my own. This was probably the best thing I did when I did my own podcast alone without talking to people. This is the best analysis I did, but it was a good find. And in the first half of the season, more or less, she shot 20% from 3. 20%.
Oh, really?
The second half, she shot 50% from 3.
Oh my God. That's probably unsustainable.
I mean, so she was really bad, and then she was really good. Like, I remember going through her film, like every single one of her shots, and I was like, she is missing all her threes, and then all of a sudden, she's just hitting all of them. It was very, very strange. So,
all right, I'm going to take a brief look and see what her career mark is in that regard. I think it's pretty good.
She's good.
Curious.
Not that you need me telling you that. Yeah, this year was ridiculous. 38%. That's stupid.
Yeah. So she's at 31 career, and I know 2018 was like really not a super. Well, she was below 30% in both of her first 2 years. So maybe jury's still out a little bit. We're kind of going a little bit with the recency bias where she could have just gotten super hot. She was really like she looked good out there. I always thought she was one of those players like, man, if Vegas could somehow wind their way into her, she would be perfect on our team.
Her usage went down. Like she took way fewer 3-point attempts, which is probably fine considering they brought more shooting on.
Yeah. Yeah, and that trend may continue. I think it will probably depend on how well she starts the year, is how often that they're going to want her out there shooting. So, yeah, I don't know. Which one is better? I think it kind of depends on who you have surrounding them a little bit. You can make the argument for Gray being more of a ball handler, more of a secondary ball handler off the bench, as opposed to putting her out there. If you already have Arike and Mariah Jefferson out there, maybe you don't need that level of ball handling alongside them. So Thornton might be the better choice, especially if she defends at a bigger pace. So yeah, they have a lot of options. I think probably the best way to go through this is by quote unquote position, just to kind of see what they have.
I'm down.
Yeah.
Let's start with the smaller, shorter ends that we have.
So like Mariah Jefferson.
Yep, Harris.
All right.
That's who. What do you want to say something about them specific? Yes. I have things to say. So we think Jefferson has the start and Harris is coming off the bench.
That is my guess is how it would start, especially with the contract that gave Mariah. They're probably going to just hand her the starting spot until she proves that she's not capable of it.
Right. And same with Harris, honestly. Well, they're not going to, but they both have to prove themselves basically at this point since Jefferson.
Right.
Because Jefferson missed so many games in 2018 too. So it's like she's.
Yep.
But what I'm excited about, I think, as we were saying with with Agler wanting to slow down his teams, I think if you have Jefferson, you can't, you're not going to slow her down. And you shouldn't. You shouldn't do that.
100%. No, she operates at full speed. She's not the kind of player to walk it up the court.
Right.
So they're going to play a lot faster, regardless. Yeah, that's a really good point actually. If she remains the primary ball handler, it'd be interesting to see what Ty Harris has kind of done in college. I'm not really familiar enough with the Gamecocks to know
Me neither.
They were a fast or a slow team per se. Jefferson pushes it. She's a demon on both ends. She really is just attack, and that's how she plays. And I think that's kind of, with her slight frame, that's kind of how she has to play to get things going. She's a career 36.6 3-point shooter. Not too many attempts. 108, 123 total. So
in 3.5 seasons.
Yeah, basically in 71 games. So essentially just a little over 2 seasons worth of play. That at least points to that's promising, right? I mean, it's never a bad thing, I guess.
36.
And that's basic.
Yeah,
and that's basically built off of her rookie year, where she went 33 of 88. She didn't really get a lot of. She hasn't really gotten a lot of attempts since then.
Right. Yeah, so, that's super weird that they went away from that. I'm like, why? And whatever.
That's a good question, actually.
Maybe that's something for us to look at later.
Yeah, that might be an indicator that they don't really trust that shot, and they were kind of. And it's something I could probably, as we're talking, I can sneakily look at her hoop stats and figure out what her college threes. Incidentally, I tried to look up Kayla Thornton's stats, and I could not find them on her hoop stats. They just don't exist.
Oh, from college? Yeah.
I mean, from college.
Thornton hasn't been in college in 2013. I definitely heard hoop stats.
Oh, that would be the reason, because I think they only go back to 2014.
Because she didn't get drafted, and she missed the 2016-ish season.
Yeah, you're right.
And played 9 games in 2015. So I'm guessing that she graduated quite a while ago. I'm trying to buy you some time here. Do you hear?
You did, or you know what? You did a tremendous job. She was Mariah was a 43% shooter in college.
There you go. Yeah.
So that's pretty damn good. She was in her senior year, I should say. She was 97.4 percentile. And that's the only year that we have on record for her. So that's fine. You know what? We're just going to go with that. She's a shooter. That's
43% is not bad. On how many attempts does it say?
Damn it. 123 total attempts.
123, nice.
That's not too bad.
I mean, when I look at college players, I've said this before on the podcast, but if like I'm only convinced that you're going to be a good shooter that you might be a good shooter if you shoot like 43%. Like you got to be well.
Yeah, around that high, you got to be up there. That makes sense. I kind of agree with that.
Doesn't mean anything. 36% in the pros, but in college you have to be 5 percentage points above that for me to be like.
What's your cutoff limit?
My cutoff limit, yeah. I would say like early in their college career, if you're shooting like 40%, 41%, but by the end of college, I'd want it to be like 40, 41 and a half. I'll give it the half.
41.4, you're out. 41.5.
Yeah, no, that's my
You're a shooter, baby. That's like, it.
Nah, this girl can't shoot for anything.
That is a good point, though, that the 3-point attempts kind of dropped a little bit, and that might be an indicator that she doesn't trust her shot or other people don't trust her shot. I hope she does take them. This is really, I think it's important. Yeah, she needs it. They need it. For her to stay in the league, I think she's going to have to hit those outside shots. So I think I don't know if I've mentioned it on the pod before, but Mariah Jefferson is my wife's favorite player ever since she got into the Aces, because Mariah Jefferson is the player that was closest to my wife's height. So yeah, she likes the tiny players because it makes her feel more relatable.
I like the I definitely like the front backcourt better. I think that's more fun. It's just like zooming around the court, just like, woo, so fun. Mm-hmm. But also, when I looked at Mariah Jefferson, I was like, this person is not 5'6". Like, there's no way. She looks.
Really? Oh yeah. You know what? I agree with you on that. I 100% agree with you on that.
She's the smallest player I think I've seen other than Brooke, and she's slighter than Brooke McCarty-Williams. You know. Yeah.
So we need one more of those back-to-back player height things that Sky Show Chicago managed to get out of James Wade.
Yeah, by the way, Sky Show, like if you're out there, like good for you. Like
yeah, I was actually applauding him at home.
Yeah.
I was like, that's fantastic.
Like, you know what? I wish that I made a thing out of something like that.
Tremendous. Everybody give it up for Sky Show, who we're going to do a podcast with soon.
Sure. We can do that. We'll do that on your podcast, though.
Oh, there we go. That might be the first one. We'll see.
There you go. Sorry if I outed you on that.
Oh, that's fine. It is happening. We're going to see how it's happening. I'm still really hinky about the current plan for the WNBA, so I don't want to start a podcast and just be scared.
Even it's a good place to throw that. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, it's like, hi, welcome to this podcast about the season that I am tremendously concerned about.
Yeah, we can talk about that. Let's finish this. We might be
anyway. Ty Harris, she was one of the players. I don't do a lot of college viewing. I like to watch good teams play against good teams in college, and if I see a college player who's got pro prospects, I like to see them against good opposition. Ty Harris, I don't know how good she'll be in the league. I was at least very, very impressed with her physically. She has really good height for a point guard, especially. And I think the thing that I kind of liked about her, very solid ball handler, just like looks in control at all the time. Looks like she's got a good shot as well. The thing that I kind of like favored her over some other players was that even if she doesn't make it as a point guard, I still think she can serve as a wing, a secondary ball handler on the wing. She looks like she has the height, length, athleticism to defend in the WNBA, at least at a decent level. Whether she stays as a career backup or whatever, I thought it was a very solid pick. I don't know that I have much else to say. I don't really have any projection for her for how she'll play. maybe she'll be really good. Maybe she won't. I don't know. I think a lot of it just depends on how a player adjusts to the increased athleticism, the increased speed and height and everything else that goes on in the league, and that will kind of dictate how it goes for her going forward.
Right. Definitely. I mean, that's the thing about the wings. It's like a lot of we'll see because we have no idea how they play.
They're so young, right? Second only to the New York Liberty in that department. It's like, I don't know about this player or not.
Right. Yeah. It's just like there's nothing. The only like real indicator you can have is like the 41.5% like 3-point rate, and then it's
right.
he could possibly know how they're gonna do. Anyhow. So that's the one position. Do you feel good about that?
It's as solid as it's going to get. A lot of it is there's question marks, obviously, with both players, and I think that is going to dictate a lot of how their offense works forward, or if we're going to be back on the Enrique tries to do everything for them train, which I don't think is destined for glory.
I don't think they're going to do that.
I hope not.
I hope not. Anyhow, we are very confident in the one spot being question mark.
Yes.
Let's move on to number 2 then.
Number 2.
So on to the 2 spot, however you want.
Yeah.
Wing.
We'll call it like the first of the wing spots, I think, because I think a lot of these players that we're about to talk about now are going to spend some time. I guess Mabry could potentially also fill in at the 1 spot, but we'll kind of get that down the line.
Just a bone I have to pick with whoever says wing, like, oh, I think she should be at the wing. I'm like, but is there only one wing? I'm pretty sure there's 2. I don't know. It's just weird. It makes wing seem like there's only one wing, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure there's 2.
Oh, no, there's 2, right? So one of the wing spots is how I
smaller wing and then a bigger
smaller wing, big wing.
Right.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think there's more to bring those 2 positions together than there is guards. So when people say point guard, shooting guard, I really don't think that there's like so much difference between the shooting guard and the small forward spot. That you're like, this player can only play the shooting guard. You cannot trust them at the 3. They will blow up. They will get ruined by a bigger player at the 3, and I just don't think that that's necessarily true.
Yeah, the only time I saw that was like this year with Phoenix. Like their backcourt was with what's her name with Mitchell and January.
And January, yeah, no, that would get pancaked quite a bit actually. You're right.
I mean, she's a great defender, but not for 3s. And yeah. Anyhow,
fair.
So at the 2 spot, I'm guessing we both see Agumbawale
100%.
Coming off the bench, and maybe KLS. That's kind of where I'd prefer to see her. So she's someone who I'd be like, she's a shooting guard. Like I wouldn't want her driving. Not in this league.
I don't know that I agree with that.
Okay, you may not. You don't have to.
Let's move in and we'll discuss her under the 3s. But okay, it's just starting with the 3 we'll discuss right now: Agumbawale, Alicia Gray, Marina Mabry.
Interesting.
That's kind of how I see it. Again, this could shift around depending on what happens. We've already kind of discussed Enrique a little bit in passing. Yeah, just where she's going to find. The question I think I would have for her is where she's going to contribute aside from the one-on-one scoring. Is she going to pick up her pick and roll facility? How does she fit if Mariah is handling the ball a little bit more? How is she going to work more off ball? These are interesting. She's very talented. I have a positive outlook for her, absolutely. Even as much as there were the criticism I had for the offense surrounding her. I do think she has the potential to become somebody who's very good on the pick and roll, somebody who's better able to pick their spots. I just don't want to see. I'd hate to see like this constant volume scoring, and it's like I'm going to shoot even if I'm double covered, even if it's a bad long distance. To when you've added so much shooting to the rest of the team now that you would like to see the ball move around a little bit more and have other people, not make the offense so predictable. So yeah, that's really my question for her. I do think she's going to be a good player in this league. She's going to play for a long time. She's going to score a lot of points. What else is she going to do? How is she going to contribute to the team winning? She's not Diana Taurasi, certainly not yet in terms of her ability to balance between the shot and the pass. She could, like you mentioned, she had 35% from three. Given the workload, the volume, it's a pretty good start. That's off to a really good start. Maybe she just winds up just like a knockdown shooter, and you just can't leave her alone.
Right.
We'll see, right? Yeah.
She can shoot at all three levels. So and those spots at will, basically.
Yeah.
And so a little bit of attention drawn away from her, then that's even going to make her life even easier. So I interrupted, but I'm confident in her being.
Yeah,
she has to be the starter.
On board.
Like,
no. That's not even where I'm going with this. Yeah. It's just how good. What is her ceiling? How will she develop in the ways that weren't as successful last year? She just strikes me just a shot creator. Will the playmaking follow? Given the shot making ability, these players like her have fairly good success rate. I've noticed for the players that do really, really well in the pick and roll efficiency, even including passes, a lot of them get there by way of their shot. That if they're able to hit those threes, pulling up out of the pick and roll, if you go under and they're just going to kill you, then you're going to have a lot of success. The surprise player when I asked people who had like the best pick and roll percentage, the one that nobody got was Ivory Lata, who played for the Washington Mystics. Great shooter, tremendous shooter, not really known as a playmaker at all, but she was so successful out of the pick and roll because if you left her alone, she was just going to hoist a three and then she was going to hit it. And that was it, man. You got 3 points out of that, which is the best result you're going to get out of a pick and roll. That could be the pathway to Eureka. She might be like a 60-40 shooter passer and still be wildly successful because she's just the kind of player that you absolutely cannot leave her alone. So high praise. I think there's no doubt. Don't have any doubt she's going to be a long-term starter in this league. Just what level she'll hit, I'm pretty sure she's going to be an all-star probably as early as this season. Well, there's no all-star game, but you get the idea. And then just beyond that is like, how much do you contribute to winning? How good on offense can you get? And that she has the potential to potentially maybe even hit that level. We're not rolling it out. Great thing for Dallas for sure. So all praise to her. That was a great pick from them. And I think she's just going to be a good one. It's just interesting to see how she's going to develop with not being with an actual point guard handling the ball, who pushes pace and who handles the ball, and how she works off ball is what I'm curious to see about this season.
Yes. I'm getting distracted by Twitter. What crazy kids are saying some weird things. Okay.
There's no lying to us about people opting out of the game, okay?
No, that's definitely not what's happening.
Okay.
They're just talking about fun things happening on the show.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. Anyhow, so
we're a hit.
Oh, you're leaning back on your chair. I hear the
oh, sorry. Yeah, I tried to do it quietly.
No, you're fine. You're fine. But yes, don't do that.
Okay. So moving on a little bit, Alicia Gray.
Okay, wait. Can we just talk about Mabry because we disagree on Gray? So we just get Mabry out of the way.
Okay, let's go for it.
So Mabry, to both of us, seems like she's like the third two.
Yeah, the we might just call it like the fifth guard, I guess, is how we could phrase it. She's going to be deep bench probably.
Great. Okay, I think that's all we need to say there.
Yeah. So
I see Gray as a 3, and you see KLS as more of a 3. We're disagreeing here.
No, what I was talking about was KLS, right? Yeah, KLS. I don't see her as a 2.
Okay, why? Because I think I don't like her at the 3.
All right. I'm really curious about yours, but I will start with mine. She's not a secondary ball handler. She's not a put the ball on the floor type.
Right.
Is essentially what it comes down to. I really do think we're splitting hairs here between shooting guard, small forward position. Where I come from this is I think she's definitely more a wing than a big. I don't think you can expect her to defend against the bigs. She's a taller player, maybe not as fast lateral quickness. So I would think in that defending the big category, you would want to veer towards the taller, slower edge of that, personally. But I mean, if she plays, I think you would want two better ball handlers on the floor out there than KLS is, I guess what I'm saying.
I understand. Yes.
Okay.
That makes sense. My only thing is I don't like her playing threes who are more physical and are trying to drive to the basket. I don't think she's going to be able to do that on bigger players. Like, she just doesn't seem particularly physical to me. So that's my concern there. But I also understand, like, you want her on a slower player. Like, on most twos, she's not going to be able to keep up, and she doesn't have anyone behind her that can really help. So, yeah, fine.
Yeah, so we're kind of getting into, all right, well, we can talk about her now. That is always going to be the problem. Is I think she's fairly athletic, but I think in terms of defense, it's going to have to be her length that kind of carries her a little bit.
Yeah.
And there have been players that have been that have made that work, not necessarily fleet of foot, but they have enough length just to bother shots. She is athletic. She just doesn't. You haven't seen that lateral quickness with her when she's defending out on the perimeter. So I do see your point that you're not. She's not the physical type. She's not going to get bodied. I don't know how many big physical threes that there are in the league anyway.
Continue.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that there are going to be a lot of people, WNBA players playing that position who are going to really, really put it into her.
Right.
Is, I guess, what I would say. That's just, I could just be not thinking of somebody in particular. I know LA between Parker and NECA, she's going to have a hard time against them.
Right.
Just regardless of who's out there. But because she's going to probably wind up having to defend a larger player in that instance. But beyond that, I don't know. I mean, it's just again, totally splitting hairs. Maybe against softer fours, she can go and handle that. Some backup fours, but that's really not where I wouldn't put her in a position to have to bang down in the post. Is, I guess, what I'm saying. The only three with a post game that I can think of is Alicia Clark, because that's one of her little neat tricks that she can do. But beyond that, nobody really comes to mind. If anybody out there, apparently people out there who are on Twitter who are actually listening to this, maybe you have some thoughts on this.
Yeah, I can't really think of it. Like, that's a good point of Alicia Gray, but I also can't really think of that. Who would be?
So you said Alicia Gray, and we were talking about Kitty Lou, right?
Yeah. What? No, I meant Chelsea Gray, like as someone with a
post,
but she's
yeah. She's a matchup problem anyway.
We would never do that. Never do that.
If Katie Lou winds up on Chelsea Gray, something went terribly wrong.
Big problem. So yeah, no. Okay. So I'm just not a huge fan of KLS. I think or Katie Lou, she's got some time to prove. I think I last year didn't convince anyone that she should be in the league, but I think everyone's kind of willing to give her another shot.
Yeah. It's good. It's good.
Oh man, I'm very creative. Okay, so we're getting
feeling a little loopy right now, are we? No, it's fine. Yeah, I do like her. I think she needs to be put in the right spot. I think she needs to just take advantage of the assets that she has, the height, the shooting and playmaking ability. Just give her a little, create some sets for her. Let her see what she can do. Give her more spot up opportunities. It was just really kind of quizzical how very little chance she had to just like sit in the corner and drain some threes.
Yeah,
in that offense. It didn't happen.
They just had I think they had better players, over there, and they had
Allie. Well, I mean, okay, so but like, yeah, there was a couple of. I mean, she's not going to get time over Quigley or Kalia Copper. Gabby wasn't the greatest shooter in the the world. I think you could have found some extra some spots in there. Now Sky Show's like
just typing.
Mad. He's just tweetering up a storm. Gabby Williams slander. Oh, how dare you? How dare you? Oh, we really have to do a Chicago
I know.
Sky podcast now with him.
This is clearly showing that we need to talk about this. Yeah. All right. Fine, Sky Show, you're in. We can do it, I guess. No, that would be fun. That would definitely be fun. Anyhow, so let's keep moving on. Okay, so number three spot.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we didn't finish the 2 spot because our 2.
No, Alicia Gray. I think we talked about her enough, really. I love her. Great defender. Was tremendous last year. Hopefully it's for real. I think she just looks good out on the court. She looks good handling the ball. She looks good. She knows what to do. She knows where to go. She's 100% a player that I covet. Probably the number 1 player I covet from the wings. I just love her to pieces. She's great. So I imagine that she's probably going to fulfill the same role, basically, just play 20 to 5 minutes a game or so, getting spots probably at the 2 and the 3. And if she's just as efficient, then man, she's due for a payday when it comes up.
Yeah, she still has 1 more year, I guess.
I think, yeah, right. She was, she could have extended this year, and she did not. The way Kelsey did. Kelsey got her extension this year. Same draft year between the 2 of them.
Like the 4th year option?
Yeah, that 4th year option. I'm sure they did the extension, and maybe we didn't hear about it, but she didn't get an extension. She's going to go into unrestricted free agency, and she's going to get some money, or restricted free agency, and then she's going to get some money. So.
She really should. Okay, so I think she should be at the 3. I like her there, like Mwale and Jefferson on the court starting.
Yeah, no complaints. So then, moving on, Kayla Thornton, who was the other candidate for that. We kind of talked about their contrast a little bit bigger, larger defense. The shot career-wise was lower than I anticipated. I didn't realize that it was only like 31%, and it was like all basically stemming from 1 year where she shot much better than that. I've always thought of her as like a 3-and-D type, but if a 3 is uncertain, I don't know outside of defense that she's providing a whole lot, because she really is like just a spot up player.
Well, she gets to the hoop pretty well.
Yeah, that's true. But she's not a pick and roll ball handler. She's not really even a secondary ball handler per se. She is more of probably one of those players that can take advantage on dives and cuts. She has that ability. Was curiously uninvolved in the offense. Like last year, I think she was probably the biggest casualty, I thought, of the Arike ball offense.
Yes. I suppose, yeah. I guess Gray had a little bit more involvement than Thornton did, but
yeah.
Weird. Okay, 4 position?
So we talked to KLS. There's nobody else, I don't think, at that spot.
Yeah, we just want Satu there. Or we want Satu.
So, Satu.
We got it. Nailed it.
Satu. Sabali.
Oh my God. You're such a dad. Jesus.
I want to cover all the bases. Sabali, Sabali, Satu, please reach out and tell me how to pronounce your name. So I am 100% sure. This is going to wind up another astute thing where she says it, and I'm going to be like, I don't understand. So,
right, yeah.
I don't know. My mouth cannot make those syllables. Anyway, tremendous. It wouldn't surprise me if she started at the 3. Like very likely to start at the 4. She can play either position just fine. Just tremendous athlete. Gets to the rim like nobody's business.
Yep.
Shot very well from 3. Just again, and then part of who knows how much of this was necessarily Oregon's offense just making everything 150% easier. But there's no reason to think that she won't be very good. Maybe a little bit of a hot take. I think she's between her and Ionescu, like Sabrina's going to get a lot of touches. She's going to probably have the most offensive opportunities out of anyone this year. But I kind of think that Dallas is in a better position for Satu to succeed.
And Sabrina?
Yeah. What's surrounding Sabrina, a little worrisome. I don't want to get too deep into this because this is not a New York Liberty podcast.
I mean, they're all like my age, so
they're all much younger than I am. So there's that too. No, but yeah, I mean, I just don't see that level of support. I don't see. I mean, there's we are getting into it, and I don't really want to get into it.
Okay,
well, yeah, but you get the idea, right? There's just a lot of like they're going to be heavily reliant on her, and defenses are going to key on her to an extreme extent, and it's going to be more difficult. She's great. I think she'll find a way to succeed. If I were putting money on this season this year and it wasn't so crazy and chaotic, I saw the over under for her assists was at like 4.5, and I'm like, bam, slam that over, slam it super duper hard. In any other normal year, I would be betting that and just making money because she's going to get a lot of assists.
Well, we'll see, because the shooting around her is unproven. I feel like I can't even.
Fair. I think she's even going to get buckets at the rim for other players. Is just the way that she orchestrates an offense. But in any case, Satu comes in with a
every time.
look on your face is priceless. Comes in with one huge asset, and that is Arike. Is that somebody drawing away attention from you? If she's going to play that secondary role, man, that is such an opportunity for her to feast. Yeah. I watched a lot of her the tournament games that she was involved in. She is an incredible matchup problem. Lauren Cox, who's about as good a defender in basketball, in college basketball, as anyone who has played over the last 4 years, had problems with her. It was a mismatch. Just her ability to just take you out from the perimeter and just get around you and get into the lane and draw fouls. So I think what it comes down to is, like, early on, people might be looking at the number 2 pick and being like, I don't know, did the Liberty make the right choice? I think 100% they made the right choice. Mm-hmm. But the point is that I think Satu is in a position to just have really good rookie season and to make people at least wonder, because I think she is gonna get those counting stats, and I think she's just like in a position for some reduced attention on the offensive end and the skill to take advantage of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, tremendous. Both ends of the floor. Eventually, like it's really hard. I think people underestimate how difficult it is for rookies to come in and be defensive contributors right away. But she definitely has all the tools. She seems like, I think what Skylar Diggins-Smith had said is that she has the most WNBA ready body of anybody that they had played against. I 100% agree with that. She seems like the kind of player that has the skill set to just contribute right away. Like, not a lot of things that she needs to learn to adjust. But we'll see. Yeah, that could be just a very, very good spot for them.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. They're going to do great. She's going to do great. Probably. So then we have Allery Bella and then Gustafsson.
Harrison. Or do we want to? Yeah, I guess discuss maybe Harrison under the 5s. Who knows? Yeah, whatever it is, whatever it winds up being. I guess that makes more sense. Is that Satu starting and then Bella coming off the bench? Bella, we've already kind of discussed already. Just tremendous offensive potential, tremendous defensive worry. We'll see how that goes. It's probably. Yeah, it probably is better just to see how she adjusts coming off the bench and see how she can play against some backup fours and
Right.
And we'll see. I think that she, in contrast to Satu, she's got probably her skills are the thing that's going to take a little more time to adjust to the league.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if she struggled. Yeah, it is. It's just 100% difference. The other thing is that she did kind of in the game that I looked at, some of those choices that she made, it was the kind of trying to do too much. She got used to, I can't even remember what team she played. It was like the number 6 seed in the tournament, but it was I'm used to playing against Ivy League competition, and I'm able to do this against Ivy League competition. And then she wasn't playing Ivy League competition, and a lot of that stuff didn't work.
Yeah. So I agree. She's the hardest to read, I think, because it's just like, you just have no idea with Ivy Leagues. So yeah.
I would not write her off, even if she had a poor season this year. I think it's just she's one of those players that it is going to take some time for her to adjust. I think everything she does wrong may be magnified, and the things that she do right may not be readily apparent right away. So that's kind of where I feel with her. I don't know. I can also see them just trying to play her at the 5. She's not incredibly mobile. I can't see her going out and defending 4s on the perimeter. So that's kind of why I was thinking maybe they put Harrison out there, but we'll see. This is one of those areas that is the only players that I am not sure is going to go and defend out of the perimeter of the bigs that they have is Meg, and anybody else could conceivably play the 4 or the 5. I guess except for Satu. I don't see her playing the 5.
Okay. And then at the 5, I would say Do would start over Allery, though. At least.
Oh man, you took a shot at her last name. I applaud that.
Oh, did I do it? Did I do?
You did. You even did it.
Oh my God, that was incredibly
incredible. I can't believe I went there. So Astu, our good friend.
We're having way too much fun. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, we are. This is great. Okay, so we've kind of talked about her too as well. So yeah, a lot of, it looks like the outline of a good player. She might be overpaid. It is what it is. The ability to stretch, pull centers away from the basket, or whoever is deciding to guard her, is huge. Just the prospect of Satu on one side and her on the other side. That's a choice, man. That's a decision that you would have to make as a defense. It's going to be a tough one.
And then on the defensive end, that's what I'd be concerned about with any
100%.
Top, like for the 5 people in the front court, excuse me. It's just like, how are you going to defend the aces? How are you going to defend Griner? Who's doing that?
You can't see me, but I am nodding my head. Yeah, 100%. Well, that's a question for everybody. Is how you defend those super bigs if you don't have one yourself. But even like if you had trouble with Carolyn Swords, then like fairly well around the league, then you're just going to have problems. They have not solved that. That is the reason. I love the shooting. I love the players that the idea, the concept of what they're bringing in. Even if it goes well, I don't think I would still predict them to be in the playoffs. Like this, I say that knowing that everything is crazy this year and God only knows what's going to happen. But in a normal year, I would say that their defense is just not going to be good. They don't have that rim protector. They still don't, even through all these changes. And that's just going to be their Achilles heel all year. You're 100% right. Unless Astu shows us something that we've never seen before. Unless I can't even imagine an alternative to that. I don't see anyone else stepping up to be that kind of player.
Yeah.
But like offensively, well, it could be fun, man. If she's for real, if that shot's for real, and bigs are going to have to go out and play on her. That's going to make things a lot easier for Satu and Arike. Wings could get really, really fun if that's the case.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I don't really, how do you even predict for this year? Like just depending on who can play and who can't. I mean, like you look at the Sun right now, and you're like, maybe.
What happened?
Yeah, like maybe the Wings could beat them like more often this year. Like they don't.
It's
lose,
possible, yeah.
like,
22 game
JJ anymore.
season.
They don't have that issue. I mean, you're going up against Brianna Jones. They're fine.
Yeah, that's true. It's true.
Well, and Thomas. We'll see how that works.
There's so much that could happen this year. Just the wrong outbreak, a player getting COVID, even if they're asymptomatic, just kind of puts the fear of life into me. I don't know what the plan is. I don't know how you mitigate that because it spreads so fast.
Right.
So yeah, it's chaos. I really am not making any predictions about this year. It could just be the wildest thing that happened. I made a kind of cracked a joke that like the only people who are going to be healthy enough are the housekeepers because they're surrounded by disinfectants. They might wind up hosting the WNBA title for all we know.
All right. So should we look at some of these comments?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, there's actually some on Facebook, but I guess
you should. Oh my gosh.
I know.
I don't have Facebook, so you're gonna have to tell me those.
Oh my gosh. There's not a Snap Wilson on Facebook? There might be.
There's a Snap Wilson on Facebook. I used to have Facebook. I don't anymore. I got rid of it. They're a terrible company. But
anyhow,
yeah.
So Dennis, he's WNBA Twitter guy. He just says yay Shay and yay Snap. Very good.
Okay. Aww. Yeah. Yay to you, Dennis.
And then he also said, I was aware of WNBA with Shay live stream going on for once. Yay. There's a lot of yays happening. And Eric says Mr. Wilson. Very good.
Cool. Mr. Nemchuk. How do you pronounce his last name?
You got it.
Okay, cool.
Got it. But then you put the E is not supposed to be there. He just puts it there.
Okay.
If I
really? If I
were to do that, it would be Jennings with an S, a second S. If I did.
Oh, that'd be. Yeah, there you go. Jennings.
Yes, yeah. Super cool. Also, there's no way we're talking about stats right now. It's just.
Yeah, it's a thing of the past.
When I get really tired, this is going into my podcast. When I get really tired, I start to get extremely smiley, and it's just there's nothing can happen, and I feel the giggles just happening. And that's.
Have you where I want you.
What?
I have you where I want you then.
Yeah, I definitely have loosened up a bit this time. And this is water, by the way. Just.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, the classic mug, water in a mug, you know. Anyhow, and then Angie Holmes, I don't know who that is necessarily. You don't know how to say Gustafsson either. Yes, she needs to work on
it. Oh, snap. Damn. Wow. She told me. Oh.
I don't know if she was calling you or me.
Well, we don't know because you said you would just assume that she said she means it to be pronounced Gustafsson, but it could be Gustafsson.
Oh, right?
Gustafsson. It could be Gustafsson. I like the sound of Gustafsson. It sounds like very military. Gustav. Anyway, Angie, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Megan. We're just going to call her Megan.
Right. We should have just.
Megan.
Jess said that okay, now we're back on Twitter. Jess says, yes, I'm listening to WNBA with Shay. Wonderful.
Thank you for tuning in, Jeff.
And then Sky Show Shy said, watching someone's reaction to reading my tweets was an experience I wasn't prepared to having while watching WNBA with Shay and Snap Wilson.
This is what you get. This is what you get when the WNBA with Shay podcast, guest starring Snap Wilson.
Right. There's a lot.
I'm not even sure I'm pronouncing my own name correctly at this point.
Oh my God. Okay. And then he also says in that tweet, fun way to restart my heavy WNBA podcast queue. Tune in, WNBA Twitter. Oh, very nice. Oh,
very nice. Yeah, he's big. He's got lots of followers.
Yes. He was the first guy on here, you know? Did you know that?
He's the OG.
He's the OG.
He's the OG of the WNBA with Shay with.
I know. I was nothing without him.
It's true of all of us.
Like a little bit. Like, I might have asked someone else, but he was very enthusiastic about podcasts. Wow, we're just doing the post show on the show. That's okay.
That's pretty much it. This is what you get, guys. It's complete chaos. It's unpredictable. We're not saying anybody's name right. We're
oh my god, it's literally gonna kill me for everything she said. No.
You know how to pronounce Gustafsson either. You told
God.
me, Angie. I'm gonna do some penance. I will learn how to pronounce everybody's name. Yes.
I think it's also it's so hot in here. Like there's like no
It is. Well, it's like 100 degrees in both of our rooms right now. This is because the air conditioning is absolutely 100% not working. I am melting as we speak.
So good. Wait, should I keep reading these?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah. Oh, this is tremendous content.
It really is.
Jay Jennings.
God, yeah. Okay, so listening to WNBA. Oh, wait. Oh, no. Wait, Sky should have just said it a second time. Listening to WNBA with Shay, Snap, Wilson, this making me realize we need a hashtag WNBA Twitter. This is making me realize we as a hashtag WNBA Twitter society aren't talking about the potential that Mariah Jefferson is playing for the Dallas Wings in a hashtag WNBA 2020 season. This is where I jinx and some Wings news comes out. Hashtag WNBA free agency. There's a lot of hashtags in there.
Yeah, no news though, right? I got a little concerned.
Oh, you should look. You should look at that. I'll keep reading what was said.
Yeah.
Also realizing we have Snap talking about Meg Gustafsson.
Yes, I'm just looking at that one right now. I love that image that somebody made.
Hey, Snap, screw you. Wow, I love that.
It's tremendous. I tried to make it my header, but it didn't fit.
It didn't fit?
Yeah.
Wait, did you make this?
No, I did not. Somebody made it in response to me, a Meg fan who was just like, I appreciate it. I think he meant it as in all in good fun, and I really enjoyed it.
It does look like that. That's great. Wow. Yeah. Listening live means I can hear at Snap Wilson's Diamond for MVP slander, but live, I kid. I agree with Snap's thoughts, but still also believe DD for MVP. Oh my God, it could happen.
What could happen? I'm not discounting it. I'm just,
Right. You're just.
We've been over this. Yeah.
Do I have to put disclaimers on my humor? No, you don't have to put disclaimers on your humor. I think you're fine. Watching some. Oh, okay, wait. I already knew that. Then Skysha says, "I'm back." This is all in caps, by the way. Azare's 3-point shooting slander. 2019 is a wash year due to injury. No, thank you. LOL.
She didn't shoot them well in college. That's all I'm going to say.
Right.
There's no history of her shooting threes well.
Right. I mean, 1-9 is like really good. Not good. I'm just saying stupid shit now. All right. Then he says, get me on the pod to talk Chicago Sky with Snap Wilson and Shay being there.
Yes.
Oh, no. Okay.
This is going to happen.
I'm both kidding and not kidding. That's so good.
No, this is going to happen, Sky Show. You be ready. If you're still listening, he may, I don't know, people on the East Coast may have gone to bed at this point.
No, he's an hour after me, so it's 9:30 for him because Chicago's weird.
Chicago, you and your strange time zones. What's that about?
Yeah, I was hating on Eric for that too. I was just like, well, this thing's at 2, but for weird people, it's at 1. And he was very anyhow. This is how the post talk with Shay go on.
Defending the central time zone. So we didn't talk Meg Gustafsson. Thank you, Angie. Thank you so much, Meg Gustafsson. I'm assuming that's right, and then we're not completely missing yet a third way to pronounce her name. I'd actually brought up Synergy while we were doing all of this stuff, just to kind of drive home that in her limited time, she was actually really productive offensively. This is extremely, extremely limited, but she was 24 post-ups, 27 points on 24 post-ups, which is fantastic for post-ups. It's not so great in the normal realm of offensive things, just because the post-up is not a very efficient play. But if if you want somebody to do post-ups, that is pretty good. 17, this kind of surprised me a little bit, but it's only 12 plays. 12 plays, 17 points on cuts, 17 points on 12 plays on offensive rebounds. These are all 90th percentile efficiency. It doesn't necessarily surprise me. What I thought her main strength in college was that she was so quick off of the glass and with her moves, just like the time from the time getting the ball to the time putting it up, that I thought she would have some success on the offensive end, even in the WNBA, because it's not a thing that is necessarily dependent on strength or on something else, you know, having to create space like most people do. She has a good mid-range shot. Is probably something that would succeed with her if she gets that if she gets the amount of playing time that she could need to make that work. The question has always been the defense, and I don't really have a whole lot more to say about it. She just got plastered last year. Seeing her in the Aces games was just, it was really sadness. Liz absolutely had her way whenever she was on the court and trying to defend. She can go the Dolson route. This is going to be more Chicago slander, I suppose, but Dolson just fouls her way out of those situations, or she just hammers whoever it is that she's defending, and she gets called for the foul, or she doesn't get called for the foul, and that's the way that she handles those physical mismatches. That is probably what Meg is going to have to do if and find more success in it than not if she's going to stay in the league.
Right.
That's where we are with it. She'll either prove me wrong or she won't. I like her as an offensive player. She doesn't space the floor necessarily. She doesn't shoot threes, so I think that's always going to be a problem. If she can't defend, then you're talking about a really kind of an old-fashioned player that doesn't necessarily work within the current WNBA environment. That's where we are. That's just kind of my quick Meg take.
There we go.
as you're swatting flies or whatever you're doing at home.
Yeah, right. Definitely is hot enough for that. All right, I think it's time to sign off. We're getting loopy here for sure. But it has been freaking real, everybody. That's the wrong mouse. Oh my gosh, this is a disaster. Okay.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I did not really anticipate a whole bunch of response to this, and that's pretty cool.
No, me neither. But like, here we are. I tell people where to find you. Snap, where are you?
Snap Wilson at twitter.com. There is an upcoming podcast that I will be hosting. I will provide more details on that as it goes. Just, go ahead and subscribe to my Twitter feed. It is, I want to say, maybe 75% WNBA stuff and 25% me being angry at the world in general for being such a terrible place run by terrible people. But that's just been over the past few months. And yeah, just beyond that, I'm around. Feel free to hit me up on Twitter. The announcement of the pod is coming soon. I'm just trying to get some technical details riled away because it was going to be something that was actually done in an actual real life studio. But that is kind of went out the window with COVID-19, and now I have to do it from my messy home.
Thank you for setting the scene for us.
Yeah. A messy, sweaty home, 100-degree temperature home.
It's so funny.
Make it sound like I live in a garage. I do not live in a garage, everybody, just so you know.
Oh my God, I'm dead. All right, guys, thank you so much for coming and listening and watching. This is super fun. Now, I am at WNBA with Shay, no spaces or anything. I'm there on Facebook. Twitter is the best place. I'm also on YouTube, so you can see this.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's basically. I'm also on Instagram.
Yeah, there you go.
No TikTok yet. I don't know how I would make my content TikTok worthy, but
Snapchat.
there you go. Okay, actually, anyhow, whatever. I have to leave. Okay, bye guys for listening.
Bye everybody.